giving you the confidence, to helping you understand how to grow and sustain your careers, how to connect. You know, I say this all the time to people. You're already forming the relationships today that may sustain you for the rest of your careers, for decades to come. There's no special button that gets pressed when you might graduate from school or reach a certain age, or suddenly find yourself on tour. It all starts now. It starts with every conversation, with every extension of curiosity, of trust. All of that is how we build the network, the relationships, the community, the family that unites us in the world of music. And that is what our Recording Academy is built on. So we are here to salute you as the future of music. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you. Grammy U has grown, really, I would say almost exploded in a really beautiful way under Jesse's amazing leadership, as well as Kat and Kristen, who she has acknowledged, and our reps, who are doing an absolutely amazing job. Can we please give it up for the reps as well? Thank you. But I do have a wonderful announcement. Maybe some of you are aware, because you know things before I do sometimes, and I'm the Chief Awards and Industry Officer. So let me just say that we have launched a very unique platform, a brand new platform this week called Grammy Go. How many of you have heard of Grammy Go yet? All right, a lot of hands are going up. That's great. Well, Jonathan, our VP, is here. You will be hearing from him later. So Grammy Go is the very first creator-to-creator learning platform that the Academy has ever created. And the first 2 courses have just been launched. And we have a marketing executive, Joey Harris. We have a music producer, Carolyn Malachi. And we have cameos from some Academy members who are very well known to you: Victoria Monet, Janelle Monáe, Jimmy Jam, Hit Boy. We have an amazing selection, plus our own CEO, the very own Harvey Mason Jr., who's also part of that. We have an amazing curation of people from our membership who want to give back and also share what has guided them. What are those little nuggets of wisdom that they can pass along? And only through Grammy Go are you going to be able to get that. So please check it out. There's a QR code in the programs that you all have. And let's spread the word about Grammy Go, because this is a new way for us to connect and to learn from each other. So thank you. So I'm going to close up my little remarks here just by saying I'm born and bred in the Bronx. Went to Oberlin College. Anyone here go to Oberlin by any chance? I don't know. Studied at a conservatory. Never in my wildest dreams did I think that I would end up in a position where I oversee the Grammy Awards, I oversee membership, I work with our songwriters and composers wing, our producers and engineers wing, and of course with Jesse at Grammy U. This is what dreams are made of. I grew up on a little street in the Bronx, and I really had no idea what was out there, but people believed in me, and I began to understand that we can truly make our dreams come true. So I just want that to resonate with you, because it's something that has inspired me my entire life, that we're here to support each other, to help each other. Sometimes there are challenges, and other times information comes our way. Be open. Just let that information come in and see how it changes you, because you follow your destiny that way. So I'm going to end my remarks now by saying that we are so fortunate to have Amazon Music as a cornerstone partner of Grammy U and as our presenting partner here for this amazing day. And it is my pleasure and honor to introduce to you one of the visionaries at Amazon Music, Andre Stapleton, who is the global head of artist and label relations for Amazon. So I'm going to bring on Andre. Thank you all so much. I will see you during the day.
Hey guys! Wow! Woo! Awesome to be here. It's actually really an honor to be in front of you guys. You're an inspiring group of people, and yeah, this is very exciting. And thanks for spending your Saturday doing this, whether you're watching online or you're here in the auditorium. So, like Ruby said, I work at Amazon Music. We're just honestly, we're delighted to partner with the Recording Academy and the Grammy Go organization because it's really important to us to connect the emerging music community. And I know that in this room today, there are some of the brightest minds of the next generation of leaders in the music business, whether you're an artist or a creative or a future industry professional. And so what we're trying to do at Amazon Music is provide tools and resources and opportunities to launch amazing careers that you guys can have in the music business. And for any of us that are in it, we know how cool that is and how important that is. So it's, it feels really important, and it's a topic we're very passionate on. And for me personally, actually, for my own story, it's something I'm especially passionate about too. And the thing I kind of want to say to you guys is really to congratulate you on having identified both your passion and the resources to act on that passion, and most of you at a pretty young age. And that's something that means a lot to me because I know how important that is. Because when I started out in my career, as a young man back in London, way back at the dawn of time, at the dawn of man, it kind of I wasted a lot of time. I didn't know what my path was, and then when I kind of started to navigate towards it, I'm telling you, there was definitely no events with Ben Platt and Billy Porter and Remi and that kind of stuff helping you find the way. I mean, what an unbelievable opportunity. And so it took me quite a while to kind of figure out how to make that path. So I know how important a program like this is, and all I can say to you guys is congratulations for being here, and make sure you take full advantage of all the opportunities. So through the Cornerstone partnership that Ruby mentioned, we're going to be aiming to play an integral part with Grammy Go to help basically deliver the next wave of leaders and change makers in the music business. And from the Amazon Music end of it, we're going to be doing a bunch of really exciting things, like we're going to be involving our team all across the company in mentorships that we'll offer up. There's scholarships on offer. There's visits to Amazon Music campuses. There's invitations to behind-the-scenes access at concerts and events. You guys can see it firsthand, see how how it all comes together. So really cool stuff. We're going to be doing this locally and nationally. So once again, I would just implore you guys to take full advantage. And again, congratulations on being at the starting line of what I think will be a wonderful career for all of you guys. So have an amazing experience. Thank you.
Woo! Thank you so much, Andre, Ruby. All right, it's time to get the show on the road. So, I'm really excited to kick off our first panel of the day, our keynote conversation with Ben Platt. I know, he's right there. He's listening to you. Our moderator for this conversation is an actor and a singer, and also happens to be Ben's best friend. In 2019, she earned a Golden Globe nomination for her role in Booksmart. She previously starred as Monica Lewinsky and was a producer on Ryan Murphy's critically acclaimed series, American Crime Story Impeachment. She's appeared on Broadway, in Funny Girl, and in Bette Midler's Hello, Dolly. She's an outspoken writer and activist on topics like feminism, LGBTQ+ rights, and voter engagement. And recently, she just starred in Ethan Coen and Trisha Cook's movie Drive-Away Dolls. Please give it up for the incredible Beanie Feldstein!
Wow! Thank you. Hi, everybody. Hello. And hello to everybody watching online. I hear there's a live stream, so that's thrilling. So nice to see you all. Thank you for being here. I'm now going to read a very official thing about my best friend, which is kind of a funny thing to do. Our conversation today is particularly special as we delve into the vibrant world of Broadway and artist mastery. We are joined by an extraordinary talent and person, I might add, someone whose illustrious career on stage and screen encapsulates the essence of theatrical brilliance and artistic expression. Before we bring him to the stage, let me share a glimpse into his remarkable career, which I'm extremely proud of. Grammy, Tony, and Emmy winner, he recently graced the New York stage with his brilliant portrayal as Leo Frank in Parade, a performance that gained beautiful reviews and earned him a second Tony nomination. His versatility extends beyond the stage to the screen, where he captivated audiences in Theater Camp, a film which he co-wrote, produced, and starred in. An acclaimed recording artist, his multi-city Reverie tour sold out iconic venues like Madison Square Garden and the Hollywood Bowl. Excuse me while I turn my card. You may recognize him from his Tony-winning performance as Evan in Dear Evan Hansen, or his brilliant portrayal in The Politician on Netflix. His new album, Honey Mind, comes out this summer, and he currently has 2 singles out, and he will embark on a national tour beginning with an 18-date residency at the Palace Theater in New York City. Without further ado, please join me in welcoming the one and only Ben Platt.
Hey, what a nice intro.
Yeah. I read and I improvised. You know what I mean? It was a little of both. So we're very excited to be here today. As if you guys don't know, Ben and I met at a bat mitzvah. Is actually this story. We went to separate middle schools, and we were at Allie Nadel's bat mitzvah.
Mm-hmm. Shout out Allie Nadel.
Shout out Allie Nadel if you're watching on the live stream. And we started talking about theater and all of our favorite shows, and we didn't go into her bat mitzvah is kind of the story.
Yeah, we stayed out in the cocktail hour chatting, so she's still upset. Sorry, Allie.
Yeah, sorry, Allie. And then we never saw each other again because we didn't have cell phones. Guys, we're old. We didn't have cell phones, and then Ben joined my school in 9th grade, and we were like, oh my God, you're the kid from the bat mitzvah. And we had the same lunch period, and we became best friends pretty much on the spot. And that was 17 years ago, which is crazy. And it has been exceptional for me as your best friend to watch you build this pretty incredible career that we're going to get to talk about today. So I'm really happy to be here with you all, and let's do it.
Thanks, Bean.
So most of them, I know you in other ways. Most of you guys probably saw Ben for the first time, whether it was in Pitch Perfect or The Book of Mormon on Broadway or Evan Hansen on Broadway. So most people know you for your singing and specifically like theatrical, Broadway, that type of thing. Can you talk about what led you to love Broadway and love musical theater and what it felt like to achieve those dreams?
Of course. We both love Broadway. I grew up in a family that was very much, showbiz family and loved musical theater. And I grew up with my dad playing show tunes to us in the car. And, instead of the radio, we would listen to like Sondheim cast albums and, Gypsy and, Thoroughly Modern Millie. And I grew up doing like a youth program for musical theater along with my siblings. And, my whole family really loved it. And it was a great like shared language of something that we could really bond about. And I think for me, very quickly, it became clear that it ran quite deep in terms of like, I can be a sort of an introverted person in a lot of different places and have trouble sort of getting outside my mind and outside myself and connecting. And I think as a young person, when I would go and do musicals at like a youth program, Beanie grew up doing a youth program too, I think it was where I felt like the most free to be myself and like stretch my wings and be a little more outgoing and connect, and just it felt like the safest space. And so I just fell in love with it very quickly and stuck with it, and then started working professionally in theater when I was 9. I did a musical called The Music Man at the Hollywood Bowl when I was 9, which I was like screaming and crying, not wanting to audition for because I was very afraid. And then as soon as I walked into the room, I was like, oh, I like this. And sort of got bit by the bug immediately, and really just was pretty laser focused from that point until like our early 20s on just like that very particular dream of musical theater and getting the opportunity to originate a role and to get to do, as you said, Pitch Perfect and Book of Mormon, and that sort of leading me to the creative team of Dear Evan Hansen and getting to pursue that dream was a really wonderful and amazing journey that I didn't expect to happen quite so soon.
Beautiful. This is so funny because it's like I know all the answers, but you guys don't. It's like maybe I should say them for one question, what you would say, and we'll see if it's right.
Exactly, like the Newlywed Game?
Well, yeah, exactly.
Okay, perfect.
We would kill the
Newlywed Game.
So obviously you love musical theater. We worship at the altar of Sondheim and Gershwin and all of these people. And doing Evan Hansen, you recorded a cast album, which is part of why we're here today. And so you were used to being in the studio. I know, intimidating.
So large.
you were
Sorry.
you were used to being in the studio in that capacity. And can you talk to us like about, was there a moment that you remember where there kind of a switch went off of like, I have something else to say that's my own that I want to create? And did participating in cast albums and things like that lead you to that, or was it something else? Or can you talk to us about that moment where you felt like I have something else to say?
Absolute. I think it's like sort of a combo. Like in terms of like emotionally, doing Evan Hansen was very grating and very intense, and it's a character that is a really kind of all-encompassing sort of thing. And as the show was coming out, it became quite a sort of cultural thing, and I became very deeply associated with that person. And while I do feel lots of connection to Evan, we're both quite anxious and we don't have good posture and things like that. Like I am quite a different person than him, and I think as I got to the end of my run, having developed it for many years and been involved with the character for a long, long time, I was just feeling this this real need and desire to get back in touch with like my own perspective and to express my own personality and my own views. And I felt that I'd been prioritizing just kind of putting that on the side to really dive into this other person. So it sort of coincided, that moment, with working on the cast album, as you said, with Atlantic Records at the time. And they were the sort of the first ones to suggest, you know, what have you ever thought about doing something on your own, and would you want to start experimenting with songwriting and working with some co-writers and doing like a writing camp and seeing what that feels like. And I think that was like sort of exactly the right little push on the back at the right moment to try to just like see what it felt like to sing as myself, which is like a scary, different vibe, but has been a really beautiful channel of my career.
And also your music is so personal, as most singer-songwriters' music is, but I think for you, knowing you, I know how true and personal it is. And was it intimidating or kind of scary to not have that armor, as you said, of like another person that you're kind of hiding behind in a way? Like you're singing about Evan's journey, you're about Elder Cunningham's journey, or whoever. You're not singing about your own life. What was it like to kind of sing your own story for the first time?
Definitely a frightening thing, I think, both in terms of just sharing yourself and putting yourself up for public display and critique without any protection of like, but I didn't write this, so like if you don't like it, it's not all me. But so it's like really putting yourself forward like that is a scary thing. And then I think on top of that, you know, both of us are actors, and we know that in this industry, like there's a lot of kind of emphasis put on like mystery and being like saving, like keeping yourself somewhat private so that people can imagine you in different characters. And like particularly as a queer person, you know, obviously if I'm going to share my experience in my songs and write about my relationships, there's going to be a lot of elements about that are about being queer, and that's just always been, you know, and there was never a moment where I was like, I'm going to take a stand and talk about my queerness, because like to talk about love and relationships for me, that's to talk about queerness. So I think for me, I certainly felt a bit of a fear of like, if I express this and I'm, you know, as forthright about this as I want to be, like, is that going to jeopardize people being able to see me in all different kinds of roles? And will I be able to stay, you know, cool and mysterious if I'm, you know, sharing so openly what I feel and what I do? But the gratification of connecting with your own experiences and seeing people really take them on and use the songs in their lives, and just like that is so infinitely beyond those kinds of worries. I think, at least for me, the reward of that. So once I kind of jumped off the cliff, it was like, it was a feeling I got excited to keep doing.
And what was the first song where you felt like, oh, this is my music? Because I remember the first song that you played for me, I think, was Better. Yeah. And I remember being like, where did this, you've been doing this all along? Like, where did this come from? And being so moved and so proud and so excited. But was Better the first song for you, or was there another song?
That's so sweet that you remember that. I remember playing it for you.
I remember you were like hiding. Like, I was sitting on the other side of the piano and you weren't looking at me, and you were like, I just did this thing. And I was like, this is amazing.
I don't like watching people listen to my music. I hate it. But that was the first song I sort of wrote alone, like in its entirety. But I think the first one where I really like hit the nail stylistically on the head and felt like, oh, okay, like I understand more so like what my particular lane is, both in terms of content and sound, was a song called Ease My Mind that's on my first album that I wrote with Ben Abraham, who's an incredibly talented songwriter in his own right and singer. But it was about sort of my experience with anxiety and the ways that having a relationship or love in any capacity can really like ease that and help make get you out of your own head and make you feel like more grounded. And I felt like this sort of cross-section of like the way that it sounded and the type of thing I was singing about, sort of something clicked, and I was like, this is kind of my zone, I think.
And we're so lucky to hear it. Do you have any advice? This is, I think, a very important question specifically for this group. Do you have any advice for aspiring artists that are looking to transition between kind of a more Broadway theatrical space into recording studio work in their own right?
That's a great question. Also, I feel bad that I'm sort of like closed off. Hi, everybody. Yes, I mean, I think the first thing for me, or that I would hope is sort of like a hurdle that we can all sort of stop pretending exists, is that like there's this huge difference between singing in a theatrical space and singing your own music. I feel like at the end of the day, pop music or you know, any sort of genre, particularly when you're being your own artist, like it's all theater. Like there's a theatricality, there's a storytelling, there is, you know, even if it's coming from a more organic and sort of less like literally narrative place, I think it's so much more connected than we in the sort of modern space necessarily view it as. Like back in the day, the people singing on Broadway were at the top of the charts, and those were the pop songs. And so it's like, I think that the more and more that we're intertwining and, you know, seeing people like Renee rap and just like getting those lines blurred, I think makes it easier to begin with. But I would say for me, the biggest lesson was, you know, as a singer by trade, I'm very focused often on, you know, vocal quality and the way that my voice sounds in a given record and how am I showcasing my ability as a vocalist. And I think in theater, that's such a big component when it comes to like modern pop singing. But I think when I started to really focus more on the songwriting and the story that I was telling and letting that be the star and be out front and just trust that, you know, because it was my own story and my own perspective, like I will naturally sing it the way that I want to or the way that feels most organic to me. That's when things started to really click for me. So I think as much as is possible to sort of, you know, trust in the vocal ability or the technique or the sound or the individuality that you have and focus as much of your kind of active attention as possible on just how to translate that perspective rather than that literal sound. I think that's where I found some success.
Focus on what you are trying to say versus
Yes.
like how you're saying it.
Exactly.
In that way, I think.
It's exactly.
Okay, great. And I had one other thing to ask you. Oh, it was going to be that obviously we both know that like theater training is so rigorous and being on Broadway is so rigorous. Do you feel like that has really grounded you and helped you in your touring capabilities? Because I can't imagine what it would be like for someone to like tour for the first time without a background of doing that night after night. So do you feel like that was extremely helpful to you having that background?
100%. I always think about that same thing of like artists that are super like vocal forward, not having had experience doing 8 shows a week. Like how do you get yourself conditioned to tour and sing every other night? And I think definitely having the discipline of, you know, that we've both experienced of having to do it 8 times a week and wake up every morning and check your voice and warm up and eat a certain diet and hydrate a certain amount and take supplements and go to 12 ENTs and like just like always be in constant fear of your vocal health. Doesn't that sound fun? But I think definitely that crash course made it so that I knew how to get myself ready. Like I'm about to do this Palace residency and go on tour and like whenever
We're gonna get there, Benny. We're gonna get there.
But anytime, you know, I for a long time in my career, anytime I was about to get ready to start performing again, I would have like a couple weeks of panic of like, it's been so long and I don't remember how to do this and my body forgets how to be in shape. And it's like, eventually you do cultivate like a nice routine of, you know, when you're a certain amount of time out, like starting to weed back in some of the good, like healthy routines and getting yourself back in shape. And so I think definitely sort of set me up to know how to go about it. But I'm not necessarily an artist that can tour, like in terms of health, like passively. Like I think there are some artists who are musicians or, you know, like there's different types of music where it's a lot more about just the energy that you're bringing or like where you're at on that certain day. But because so much of what I do depends on singing, I think it's like, I definitely know anytime I'm touring, that's going to be a period of time where it's got to be the only focus.
Yeah. And to people that don't know you, do you want to talk through like some of the things that have really grounded you in that ability? Because I feel like if from the outside, if you didn't know, it would be like, what do you do to keep yourself in that shape and ability to tour every night?
Totally. Well, I take lots of supplements. I take
Walk us
wellness
through the
formula.
routine.
I take vitamin D. I take bromelain. I can make a whole list and I'll put it online. I drink one of those obnoxious water bottles that has like, you can do it, you're almost there, like halfway through the day.
He does. He brings it to dinner.
I bring it around on tour. I bring it to the airport. My fiance Noah absolutely hates it and tries to throw it away whenever I leave it somewhere. But the number one and number two thing that are irreplaceable are water and sleep. Like there's no replacement for waking up without having gotten rest or for not being hydrated. Unfortunately, it's just like you got to figure out how to sleep and you got to drink water. Diet things, which Bean and I both are very careful about our eating when it comes to our health and vocal, etc. But I think that, like, for me personally, no acid, no dairy, no gluten, things that create like lots of mucus, just to get real about it, and just keeping your airways clean and clear. And then we both have worked in the past, and I continue to work with Liz Kaplan, who's an amazing voice teacher and kind of expert, who is very good at continuing to make sure that I understand that it's not, when you're prepping your voice, it's about prepping your whole body and making sure that your whole instrument is like head to toe. It's not just what's in your throat and in your chest. So I think making sure that you're feeling like connected and loose and sort of at one. Those are the main things.
Beautiful. So all of us are very excited that you have a third album coming out very soon. So I think we should talk a lot about that. Not even a little, just a lot.
Great.
So your new album sees you exploring a more understated kind of folk-leaning sound. What inspired this? I mean, I wouldn't say it's a huge shift. It's who you've always been. But what inspired you to kind of focus that in this third album, and how does it reflect your growth as an artist?
This is so funny. So I always have loved James Taylor, as we both know, and
And sang my first dance at my wedding, which was a James Taylor song. It's very beautiful.
That's true. I did. And thank you.
It's been a pleasure.
Yeah, so that whole kind of time period and sound, and Paul Simon and Simon and Garfunkel and Fleetwood Mac and Joni Mitchell and Carole King, just these very sort of Americana folk singer-songwriters that are very unadorned and like super storytelling forward. Not a lot of bells and whistles, I guess, would be like one of the through lines of that. I think has always been like a major source of inspiration, and I think as I started writing on this album and started doing like initial sessions, I think it just really felt like a really nice stylistic match for where I was at, like emotionally, and the types of things that I was writing about, which is a lot about Noah and my relationship and our love that we share, and also about just like this kind of trapped between youth and adulthood thing, and still trying to figure out like the balance of maturity, etc. Just very naturally, as we started to write, and I worked with a lot of co-writers who are in Nashville, who a lot of them exist very much in this stylistic space, just felt like the most natural sound for this kind of content. And then I got kind of doubly inspired as we started writing by the crossroads of that type of music and like a queer perspective. Like I don't necessarily think there's been a ton of examples, at least for me growing up, of like this type of introspective, sort of a little bit more soft-hearted type of music and romantic music from a very expressly lyrically queer perspective. And so I really got excited by that like juxtaposition.
Intersection too.
Intersection,
yeah,
yes,
intersection.
yes.
Was there a moment in the creation of the album where you felt like, oh, this is what it is? Like kind of what I was saying about your first ever time songwriting with your first music, but with this album specifically with Honey Mine, like was there a moment or was there a specific collaborator or a song where you were like, this is the album, this is what we're doing, let's keep going from here?
Yes, totally. I had a work session for a week with one of my favorite collaborators. Their name is Alex Hope. They're an amazing queer songwriter. We wrote Grow As We Go together on my other album, and we wrote I Want to Love You But I Don't together, which is for my second album. And I've just always loved them, and we've had great one-off song sessions through the years, but this was the first time that we kind of hunkered down and wrote for like an extended period of time. And they have 5 songs on the record that we wrote, just the two of us, and I think they're also queer, and they were as inspired as I was by that combo of like this sonic world and like very sort of classic like American images and sounds mixed with that queer perspective. And so when we started writing, we wrote All American Queen and Andrew, which was my first single. And both of those, I think once I started to hear what those were and like feel like this very specific combo was being realized, that's when I was like, I see where we're gonna build the rest out from. Like that was sort of the core at the middle of the apple.
Very exciting. As you prepare to share the rest of the Honey Mine album with us, is there what emotions or themes do you hope the audience takes away? When I know you don't like people watching you play new music, but you are about to go on tour, so you're going to have to get over that.
It's okay if I'm singing it. It's more when you sit in a room and you play it and you're just like watching them like, what do you think?
I understand. The liveness of it makes it easier for you, which
Yeah.
is such an interesting thing about you. You're so comfortable on stage in a way that has always been and always will be, and it's very beautiful. But is there something that when we're all listening to the album for the first time, whether it's at the Palace, on your tour, in our houses, in our ears, that you want people to take away from it? Other than, of course, that kind of juxtaposition of what you're saying, like, is there a feeling or a energy or a commitment or something that you feel like you want us to take away?
You know, I never want to dictate like the experience, because I often find that like people connect to it in ways that I don't ever premeditate or like expect, or like I think it's going to be one thing and it's always another. I would hope different people in different ways. Overall, I guess I want it to feel warm and cozy and kind, and it's definitely not like an aggressive or abrasive type of album. I think it's something that's hopefully a little bit soothing, and if people are in relationships or have partners, I think there'll be certain things that they'll certainly glean or maybe hopefully feel their experience reflected, or some of the things that they're thinking about and the growth that they're experiencing as a person having a partner that they'll experience. And even for people who don't, there's a lot of themes that I hope resonate in terms of like people who are still trying to find the things from their youth that they want to maintain, and the sort of wonderment and recklessness and levity that they don't want to let go of, but also wanting to step into like a more mature, responsible adulthood. But I think there's no wrong answer. I think as long as it feels either connective or makes you feel good, or
Soothing is great. Soothing is such a beautiful thing. It's like,
totally, we all need to be soothed, I think.
yeah,
At the
and I
moment.
think a lot of what the album's about is how much Noah soothes your mind, which is where the title came from, which we should talk about. But if you can bring that feeling outwards through your music, that's really beautiful.
Thanks, Bean.
So talk to us about how you came up with the title.
So the album's called Honey Mind. I was on a hike with Noah, my fiance, and we had partaken in some chocolate. And we were walking in this really beautiful place called Mohonk Mountain that's upstate, and I was feeling very happy and very giddy, and because of Noah. And and he was asking me to describe to him just like what's making you so happy. And also, I'm, again, a pretty anxious person, and I spend a lot of time in my head, and he was noticing that I was really not succumbing to that and that I was feeling very present. And he was like, what is it? And I started to get very mushy and talk about my love for him and how happy that he makes me, and started to think about, you know, my brain and what the inside of my brain might look like, as one does when they're hiking and taking chocolate. And I started thinking about, like, you know, when things are stressful or anxiety provoking or, you know, get in your way in some capacity, like I just imagine all these kind of jagged things kind of jutting out in your mind and getting in each other's way and sort of making it a bit of a busy, kind of sharp environment. And I thought about how when you're in love or when you have someone that you feel like really, you know, brings you into yourself, it doesn't make those things go away or like disappear or change their shape. It just like covers them in something a little bit sweeter and smoother and like coats the whole thing and makes it a little easier to take. And so I had this just image of something really sweet and golden kind of covering everything. And, you know, Noah was like honey. And I said, yeah, exactly. You give me honey mind, essentially. And so I wrote a song called Honey Mind that I love, and that's going to be on the album. And then when it was time to pick the title, it just felt like it encapsulated kind of the whole energy.
So sweet. I love it.
Don't do drugs.
That's the lesson. That's what we came here to talk to you about today. Okay, so we have to talk about the Palace because you're about to do 18 shows at the Palace, end of May, beginning of June, and end of May or early June, some might say. You get it. And
The internet audience loved that.
you're welcome. So talk to us about going into that iconic venue and what we can expect, or what your take on that venue is, because it's a pretty huge deal, and a lot of life-changing, iconic performers have performed there. And I want to know about, because I'm curious, because this part I don't actually know what to expect from that performance, but also given who else has performed there. I know in some of like the teasers you put out a clip of Judy Garland performing there. Has the history of the venue kind of impacted your take on it? And is there someone that you walk on the same stage of that you're thinking about when you walk out there?
Totally. Excellent question. I think that the list of people that have performed at the Palace is a really daunting, scary thing to read. And obviously, Judy Garland has been a love of mine for my whole life. I used to dress up like Dorothy a lot as a child, and I loved The Wizard of Oz.
Went to preschool as Dorothy for many months.
That's true. I had like a blue jumper that was gingham. Anyway, so I've always loved her and really identified with her, and she's been an idol of mine. And so naturally, that's sort of the name that jumped out to me the most. So in terms of the actual set list, which I'll talk about, like she's the one who is influencing it a little bit. But I think when I looked at the list, it's like Judy and Liza and Diana Ross and Bette Midler, who Beanie knows well, and Harry Belafonte, and just all of these incredible artists. But the thing that I think really unites them, as I was looking at it, is that they have nothing to do with each other. That like they're all so intensely individual and unique, and like that was the thing that allowed them to do something like this. And so I think the history of it has inspired me to just really focus and invest in like what is my version of this, and if I'm doing an evening of performing and singing, what do I want to sing and what do I want it to feel like, and not necessarily like what should it be or what is the perception of something going into this theater, but rather what will a Ben Platt show be that not like a Judy wouldn't be. No, I mean hopefully not too many things because I'd like it to be just like Judy, but. So yes, I think I certainly feel.
Not to just quote you back to yourself, but when you won your Tony Award, I was there that night in the audience, and the end. Yes, please, yes. And I remember just briefly looking around the room and thinking, wow, everyone's looking at Ben the way I've always looked at him, which is like a moment I'll treasure forever. But the end of your speech, you said the things that, I don't want to misquote it, the things that make you weird, strange, are the things that make you magical, wonderful, powerful. Okay, I was so close.
Same vibe.
But that's basically what you're saying. It's
Exactly.
like you have to lean into what makes you as Ben, you, and you can't, no offense, you can't be Bette Midler. You can't be Judy Garland.
None of us can.
None of us can, not even close. So you have to lean into what you are doing with Honey Mind and all of your music and like really bring that forward.
Exactly, that's exactly it. And I think in terms of the set list, which I want to answer because you asked me what to expect and what the vibe is, it's certainly coinciding with the release of Honey Mind. So the kind of crux and center of the show is this new album and getting to sing it for the first time and share a good amount of it. But because it's like a bit of a larger kind of moment where I'm bringing together this world of theater with this like songwriting space, I'm certainly going to sing some stuff from my other records, a couple of musical theater covers, a couple of moments for Judy and Liza. So it'll be a nice little amalgam of all the things that have sort of led me to this point.
It's very exciting. It's an amazing thing.
It's cuckoo.
It's cuckoo. It's cuckoo from all sides. So quickly, okay, I think actually it's time for audience questions.
Oh, great.
We didn't you talked a little bit about Alex and Natalie and your collaborators, but
Totally.
is there anything else I realize that I'm sort of
yes.
skipping that portion.
No, we got it in there very naturally.
Okay, beautiful.
But I would just add that Dave Cobb is an amazing executive producer who would produce the whole album, and I got to go and record it at his little compound in Savannah with his musicians, and really brilliant organic Americana guy who helped me like keep the album as like authentic and live sounding as possible. And he's, besides Alex, the most major consistent collaborator on the album.
And for people in the audience that might want to do more like what he does versus what you do, was there a moment something that he said to you or a moment in the recording of it that sticks out to you that you want to tell us all about?
Yes, two things. He when I first got there, his house is set up so that it's like sort of secretly a studio, in the sense that there's like a really nice living room and there happens to be a nice setup to record a guitar in there, and there's a pretty library which is also kind of proofed as a drum room, and it makes you feel as though you can just be hanging and playing music and it can get captured when it needs to be, as opposed to like time to hunker down and like do something that is business oriented. And I think that the casual nature of the environment he created helped the songs feel super natural and super just communicative. And then I think he is a big proponent of a hero live take. So almost every record on the album is one take played all the way through. And obviously we have modern technology, so we can go back in and fix individual notes. And if there was like a guitar part that wants to be played over it, and you can zhuzh it. But I think I really feel the difference when the emphasis is on let's figure out how we play this in this room as a band together and make music and have that be at the center, and then we can always shape and judge around that. But I think it's hard to recreate that, and so I really appreciate that that was his kind of style. And then the last thing is just that we spent the first day, as soon as I arrived, he was like, come stand on the dock and we're gonna hang out with all the guys and drink tequila at 11 a.m. and get to know each other. And I was like, we have like 4 or 5 days to do this. Like, why are we I honestly came in quite skeptical, and I was like, oh, this is gonna be very like woohoo, and like we don't want to get down to business. But the breaking that wall of comfortability and getting to know each other as people made it so much easier to make really great music and feel comfortable sharing like all these very
He was making
things.
you into a unit,
Exactly.
which is like very important when you're
He was honestly
collaborating.
camp counseling in a really amazing
We
way.
love that. Okay, so now we're going to take some questions from you guys, which is very exciting. So if you have a question for Ben, raise your hand, and I think we have a microphone that it's going to be passed around. You were the first one I saw, so can we bring, if there is one, or I can just hand mine over to you. I'm just going to hand mine to you. Or you can just project.
Hi.
Tell us your name. Hi, Steph. So this is Steph, and she asked us about Merrily We Roll Along, if you couldn't hear her, which is a movie that Ben and I are making together. You have to wait 16 to 17 years to watch it, so you'll all be in a very different moment in your life, and as will we when you watch it. But for those that don't know, Merrily is a Sondheim musical that is about friendship, and it is told from the end of a friendship back in time to the beginning of a friendship over the course of about 18 years. And you asked about us recording it. We can say a teeny tiny bit about it, which is that we only record in the year that we're working on. So you don't, our voices will sound as they are presently, and then if they change over time, that will be captured because we record each song in the year that we're filming it.
Exactly. Richard Linklater, the director's his sort of biggest focus. He did Boyhood, which was a similar structure where they filmed it over many years, and the idea is sort of little snapshots over time and to really capture where we're at that moment. So we just spend that one little parcel of time every couple of years recording whatever song is happening that year, and then filming it shortly thereafter, and then just kind of leaving it behind, as opposed to looking at it as like one giant project. We sort of treat it as like little musical short films over the course of our life.
Essentially. And you also asked about stamina, which I think you touched on a little, but is there something else you have to say about like the stamina of being on tour?
I mean, I think other than what I've said already, which is the boring list of things to keep yourself healthy, I think like the biggest other lesson that I had to learn is that like adrenaline can also be a really harmful thing, because it can make you push and sing in ways that are unhealthy and make you do things that you don't really need to do, just because you get so excited and you want to give that extra mile. But I think when I really lean back and trust in my preparation and in rehearsal and in technique and just knowing exactly the sounds that I'm intending to make, that's when things stay really sustainable and really healthy. Not to say you shouldn't embrace adrenaline, have it, and make it an exciting show, but just try to keep that tension and excitement out of your instrument.
Basically, you need honey mind when you're on.
Yeah, exactly.
I understand.
Just pour honey on your head.
Anyone else have a question for Ben? Right there in the really cool, colorful jacket. It's very cool.
Yeah.
Thank you. What advice would you give on, kind of jumping into that phase first without any predecessors that are too well known?
That's an amazing question. First of all, I'm really excited to hear your music.
Thank you.
And I would say one of my favorite things to say that my fiance loves to say is that specificity begets universality. So I think that anytime you go into something hoping to broaden your audience or make it connectable to other people that aren't necessarily having the exact same experience as you, and so you either iron things out or leave out details or make things a little more general, I find that that makes it even harder to connect. I think when something is like, not to invoke Taylor Swift, but I think one of the many reasons why she sort of has this big cultural takeover is that, you know, she is so incredibly specific with her experiences to the point where we feel like we know them. So, you know, obviously I'm not necessarily writing about exes in the same way, but I think, you know, that speaks to, regardless of what your experience is in terms of like the circumstances of your life or the fact that, you know, where your heritage is or the fact that you're queer or whatever it might be, I think something feels real and specific, then it feels universal because there's nothing universal about something that's synthetic or that's fabricated or that's smoothed out. So I think I definitely was afraid at first, as you said, to just like jump in head first and sort of be that forthright about my queerness. Like when I first put out that song "Ease My Mind" that I mentioned and made a video of a companion music video, I depicted a gay relationship, and you know, it was me and this great actor Charlie Carver, and I didn't really think about it before when we were making it, before releasing it, as like this big moment that I was like coming out and like being gay, whatever. It was like everyone's known that I was gay since I was 8, but but it was just the circumstances I was writing about, and that's the relationship I was writing about. And so I was like, how am I going to show what that felt like? I'm going to recreate it as authentically as I can. And then when I released it and it was sort of seen as this like coming out sort of moment, you know, I was very surprised because I didn't think that that was something we needed to really do anymore. And I'm hoping we're getting to the point where that's like not really the vibe, and we just sort of express our stories, whatever they may be. And the specific sort of otherness of them is just what makes them like juicy and interesting.
Does anyone else have a question? I saw you right here with the fun caller situation.
Hi. Hello. So before I ask my question, I just want to say I grew up with like the Dear Evan Hansen like soundtrack. I went to a performing arts high school, so that was playing rampantly like all throughout the hallways all day long. No, I loved it. I was like, oh my God, this is so great. No, but my main question for you is, I'm an artist myself. I do a lot of shows in New Jersey and New York, and I find myself like having trouble figuring out like what to even eat on show days. Like, I sometimes like have the really bad habit of like not eating anything or like just eating breakfast, and I know because I can't eat dairy and like I don't want to build up any mucus. So I just want to know more about like your diet, especially like if you have like 8 shows a week, like what are you even eating?
We love
Such
this
a good question.
It's a very important question because your body fuels your voice, and your voice is what's being given to the world. So
exactly. I think for me, I sometimes have the same instinct because I'm like, I don't want to be bloated and I get nervous, and so I'm like, if I eat something, am I going to feel like, you know, too encumbered? But just as a singer, like there's no way for me to sing healthily and consistently and do like 17, 18 songs without protein and without fuel. So I try to eat breakfast, as you said. I try to eat something that's like high protein and like a good carb in there, like whether it's like a potato or like a piece of toast or just something for like some good energy. And then I eat like, say the show's at like 8 or something, I try to eat like far enough away that I'm not like feeling that digestion absolutely booming during the show, but it's close enough that I'm still able to get the fuel from it. So like 4 or 5 o'clock or something, I'll eat like, again, a similar type of meal, like high protein, so like a bowl with some rice and chicken and veggies, just like good, well-balanced, nothing that's like super, you know, fried or heavy, just so that I don't necessarily feel too like I'm, you know, carrying too much with me. But I think fuel over feeling like, you know, because I so understand the instinct of like, I'm going to perform later. Like it's like when you go on streaming and there's like so many options and you're like, I'm just going to watch like, you know, Sex and the City again. Because you're like, I don't, it's like there's two, like I sometimes feel that way. I'm like, I don't know what the right thing is for my body chemistry that is not going to mess myself up. So like, why don't I just not do anything? But I think if you can find, I'm a huge believer in routine and repetition, even though sometimes it gets really boring. So if you can find like a place that makes a bowl that really works for you and jives with your body chemistry, or like a really protein-filled salad, or like a good plate of like, you know, chicken and some veggies, whatever it might be, and it works for you, like I'm a big proponent of like just do it every time, because like if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Essentially,
You will catch us eating the same thing every day for 6 months, literally when we're performing. One thing our voice teacher said, just to piggyback on it, is that like she will not let us have a lesson with her if it's in the morning, if we haven't eaten. And sometimes she would like stop and be like, I'm gonna wait for you to eat something, because she says it's like the fire that like warms up your whole body. Like if you're not eating, you're not literally creating like energy and warmth within your body, and then you can't sing. So
totally, and it's just literally a muscle. Like it's like, if it's like, how do you play a game of basketball without any food in your system? Like,
think about how much athletes eat. It's like that's part of it. Anyway, you over there.
Thank you.
Hi, Kwame. We're running, yes.
Hi, my name's Kwame, and I have a question for the both of you. I wanted to ask about like the power of friendship in this industry. I'm here with my best friend, Malika. She's easing my mind today at this event, but next week I'll be at her play reading, easing hers. So I want to know, are there any special moments where you two have supported each other and realized I couldn't do it without anybody else but your best friend?
Literally crying, Kwame. So sweet. That question was on here, but it was asked in a way as if I didn't know myself. It was like, how do you see friendship? And I was like, I can't ask it, so thank you. I mean, literally, I've called Ben Bubba our entire friendship, and then when I got together with my now wife, I started calling her Bubba, so we were like, what do we do? And so now it's like boy Bubba and girl Bubba. But we're like, we always say we were like separated at birth, like we're twins. So I truly don't know if I could do most of what I do without your support, and I hope you feel the same way. But I think that friendship is such an important part of life, and you clearly have that so beautifully. And I think sometimes this career can be isolating, and you can get in your own head. And obviously we now both are married or getting married and have beautiful partners that we love, but there's still something that like a lifelong friend can give you that is very unique and very special. And we were there through like getting roles together in high school, and Ben still me not getting roles together in high school, and we've been through it all together. And I think that you have to nurture that and give it so much like love and attention, because as much as I love my wife and as much as Ben loves Noah, it's like there's something that we have that they can't replace or they can't take up. And in all of the highs, but even more in the lows of like when something's gone wrong, knowing that that person's always gonna like knock on your door and show up.
love you.
Love you.
I would just add that, it's very easy to support your friends when they're great artists like Beanie, and it's very easy to believe in work that's actually wonderful, that like the work that Beanie does in many different facets. But I think something I've learned, we have a lot of friends that are artists, and I think in a lot of different ways, both mutual friends that we share, we have different friends that are artists, just by virtue of the fact that we meet a lot of creative people, and that's the people that are in your life. And I think as I've gotten older and learned about the way to be a real friend and support a friend of mine who's making art and is an artist, I think, there has to come a certain point where you just invest and believe in them. And I don't think it's about being a yes man and just saying that everything they do is brilliant. And if it's a real friendship, you have to be able to offer real criticism and give your opinion. And I always want notes and thoughts from my real friends. But I think it has to always come from a place of like, at your core, like, and what you're trying to say and your value as an artist, I really believe in you, and I think what you're doing is beautiful, and I want to help you because I think it can be better and be great. And if it's ever coming from a place of like, I don't think you really are, I don't believe in you as an artist from the get, I don't think it's sustainable in a friendship. I think it's got to always be from just a decided kind of foundational space of like, I see who you are and what you're trying to do and what your ability is, and like, I'm happy to help make it better, but ultimately I just want you to realize what you want to realize. And it also helps when it comes to like reception and public perception and people tweeting mean things and external validation and lots of things that are given a lot too much weight. I think it's impossible to be an artist that has any kind of public-facing anything without having real friends in your corner who can really call you on your shit and tell you like when you do need to be criticized and pulled back, and also can tell you when that's not the case and you need to listen to your own heart, and you can value the way that you treat them and the way that your relationship impacts your life much more than faceless people on the internet, even if sometimes they're nice.
Thank you for that beautiful question. I think we're out of time, and I think we have to go on a short break. But we want to thank you so much for being here and listening to Ben's beautiful answers. And I love you. And this was so
Thank
fun.
you, Beanie.
Thanks. Should we take my little notes? Thanks, everybody.
This is gonna be a quick one. Don't be running to my door. Don't be asking me for more. It's alright if you're not sure. But I can't waste my time no more. And you know we are not the same. Caught between passion and who's to blame. But this is just all disarray to you. 'Cause all I ever wanted is everything you're running from. Everything I am is something you can never overcome. Something you can never overcome. 'Cause all I ever wanted is everything you're running from. Yeah. I can't find a reason to stay numb. Yeah. Isn't it nice? Throwing around your advice and thinking everybody wants to know what you think. Yeah, but I'm getting up and I'm seeking some new. 'Cause people only listen 'cause they don't know what you do. I said people only listen 'cause they don't know what you do. Behind walls you construe, behind walls you construe. For a chance to debut, for a chance to debut. 'Cause all I ever wanted is everything you're running from. Everything I am is something you can never overcome. 'Cause all I ever wanted is everything you're running from. I can't find a reason to stay numb. No, I can't find a reason. Behind walls you go, I can't find a reason. Yeah.
Catching the red eye to see you tonight. Can't say goodbye after just one fight. I don't know if tomorrow is promised, but if I didn't say I love you, I wouldn't be honest. Life is too short to go a day without you next to me. Today is a gift, tomorrow isn't guaranteed. I need you to hold me, to kiss me slowly. Each minute that goes by is another day lonely. Lonely, lonely, lonely. Your love gives me power, my doubts getting louder. It's killing me every hour. What else can I do? I just wanna be with you, with you. Life is too short to go a day without you next to me. I need you right now, but what if it's not guaranteed? I need you to hold me, to kiss me slowly. Each minute that goes by is another day lonely. Lonely, lonely, lonely. Used to say I had no regrets, I can't say that anymore. When we were together, I destroyed the chance to ever be something more. sure to go a day without you next to me. Today is a gift, tomorrow isn't guaranteed. Life is too short to go a day without you next to me. I need you right now, but what if it's not guaranteed? I need you to hold me, to kiss me slowly, but each minute that goes by is another day lonely. Lonely, lonely, lonely. Another day lonely, lonely, taste, what a way to make a first impression, baby, baby, babe. You know you can't just get away with making me feel these things and disappearing. Ooh, you know what to do and I'm coming through. Better quit playing all those games you do. Step by step, let's take it 1 to 2, 2 to you. I'll teach you. You don't gotta complicate the mood. All you've gotta do is smooth. Brave is better, babe. Don't be a fool. Brave is better. Brave is better. Brave is better. Yeah. Give me just a little bit more, baby. Don't be shy. You're all I've got tonight. Kind of self-disguise. Well, I know what you want inside. I know what you really like. Ooh, you know what to do and I'm coming through. Better quit playing all those games you do. Step by step, let's take it 1 to 2, 2 to you.
Hi everybody, it's your girl Bree and we're here at the Grammy U conference. I'm here with...
Hey y'all, my name is Rose and Ice.
And we're gonna just talk a little bit about Rose and Ice's experience in the music industry and what led her to Grammy U. So first, tell me how you got a part of Grammy U and what your experience has been like so far.
Yeah, thanks for asking. So I found out, oh, you want me to take it? Oh, I feel so official, you're not getting it back. No, I'm just kidding. So I found Grammy U actually through another member. I was on a music streaming app that's meant for musicians to meet other musicians and then find fan bases. Unfortunately, the app isn't around anymore, but the connections were for life. One of the people, Nada, shout out Nada, who was a Grammy U member based out of Cali, told me about it. He knew I was a full-time student and was just promoting and telling me about what you guys did and what Grammy U did. I went online and I filled out the application and I have so many emails. I'm so glad that I just typed in Grammys because in August of 2022, as I entered my master's program, I saw an acceptance email and I just started freaking out. It was just as simple as submitting the form, showing them the work I've done, my music, how I'm active in the industry, where I go to school, and from there it's been a wild ride.
Alrighty. And as far as your industry experience, can you tell us a little bit about what you do? Are you strictly an artist? Do you dance while you perform? Are you a live performer? Or you like to record more? Give us a little bit of like what that looks like for you.
Yeah, of course. That's also a great question. So I am a singer. I'm a singer-songwriter. I grew up doing musical theater, so that's why it's so cool to be here. And you know, some of the things that they're saying today, like when you transfer from musical theater to the inside the studio, it's a shift. But again, it is a performance at all times. You always want to look your best. You always want to sound your best. So I do sing. I own my own record label. Yeah, I opened it in 2020, May of 2020, right as the pandemic started. I realized I had been spending so much money and investing in my career, but I can't show that to anybody. I couldn't get grants. I couldn't get PPP loans because I had been spending money without getting the return because it was a passion. And that's when I started learning in the business side and putting my money where my music is and my mouth. So that's me. I have 13 songs out. My initial EP is called Rosa, Nice to Meet You.
Okay, I like that.
Because that's what people say when they see me. They're like, oh, it's so nice to meet you. And it was just like that. That's what I want people to see when I wanted them to get this introduction to my music. So singer-songwriter, based out of Philly.
All right, okay.
Yeah,
Philly.
okay.
And just to touch a little bit more on that performance aspect of it, so you previously mentioned that you went to the Grammys this year. What was your favorite performance, and who do you kind of look up to within the Recording Academy right now?
Yeah, I mean, okay, favorite performance this year at the Grammys? You know, it's crazy too, because like, when you know all the action is going on inside and you're like watching this screen and you're like, I can't wait to sit down with them. Everything goes crazy. Like, I'm trying to think what the best performance was this year. Like, there were so many tribute performances too. Oh my gosh. I just think the whole show this year was so special, including the fact that Beyonce was there and had just, you know, like the preface for Cowboy Carter and like Texas Hold, like it was just like, it was so epic. It was just so cool. I mean, who do I look up to? Any person that is following their dreams. I got to just meet people that week who've been in the Academy, who are voting members, who were so willing to just sit there and tell me about their experience, and like people that you might not, you know, as they were saying, see on stage, the behind the scenes people. Oh my gosh, all of them. Every person that I talked to, if I talked to you during Grammy week, thank you. Yeah, it changed my life.
Yeah, just going off of that, what's not just a piece of advice that you can give to people who are starting out their careers in music and wanting to be kind of like, as they say, a multi-hyphenate. Like, you are into fashion, as I can tell. You have a great sense of style. You're a talker, so I'm assuming more on the influencer side as well. And you not only, you own your own record label, you perform, you produce, you songwrite, all of this stuff. So as someone who has so many ideas and a lot of creative inspiration, what is your advice to people who are in the same lane that can't really, you know, choose one path to stay on? Like, is there one straight path, or how do you kind of juggle everything?
Wow. That's a really impactful question, because I feel like so often society tries to box us in and be like, you have to be just a musician. And the amount of times that I've heard that and been told, you do too much. You're doing too much. You can't be, you're a press kit. You can't have a modeling press kit and a musician press kit and a production assistant press kit. You can't have all those. But because I am multifaceted, because I am not afraid to put on all black and work behind the scenes as a production assistant, I have IMDb credits. I have a page that shows that I've worked in the industry and I'm active and I'm willing to learn. And I think that some people, they do have one path. That's their story. Like, they know what they want to be and they get there just by one just straight line. My line has not been straight. Again, like, I've been a production assistant for movies, music festivals, music videos. I've been an assistant for real estate agents, live shows. Like, I model, I plus size model. I love that. Okay, I was just in the Lehigh Valley Fashion Week. Okay, shout out to them. It's a great thing. And I think that when you aren't afraid to take opportunity, I think that's the difference. Opportunity doesn't get passed around every day. Especially, and I talk about this all the time, in marginalized communities, lower income, people of color, like, you don't get opportunity every day. So when you see it and you get it, you have to fight for it. You have to take that chance. And that was me going to LA. I didn't have a ticket into the Grammys. I only had tickets for Grammy week, for the masterclass. And so I pushed and pushed and pushed, and I found somebody who was like, yeah, you could come for the first hour. I'm like, thank you. Thank you. I'll remember this forever when I'm accepting my Grammy. You know, it's about taking the opportunity, not being scared, because the most you can get is a no. And that's the law of attraction. You just keep asking until you get a yes, and you'll get it.
Awesome. Thank you so much for sharing with us about your experience and your opportunities so far. Thank you to Grammy U for having us, and we look forward to talking to y'all soon, okay? It's Bree and
Eat your girl Rose and Ice.
Thank you.
Yay, thank you so much.
I just can't look anymore from a distance. From a distance, I feel like, I'm in love. Another one up, another one up. Hold up all your feelings for you put on a cup. Another one up, another one up. Sip on this air between us, say words you let me whisper my thoughts in your ear. One night show, baby, I'm the promise. So just hold another one up, another one up. Swallow down your desire for me, remember it when I'm gone. When I'm gone, 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 when I'm gone. Really, I don't know, like baby, I don't know. May just end up feeling how I've always felt before. Really, I don't know, like baby, I don't know. Got no time for healing, cause this rush my antidote. So I hold another one up, another one up. Hold up all your feelings for you put on a cup. Hold another one up, another one up. Smile down your desire for me, remember it when I'm gone. When I'm gone, 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 when I'm gone.
Thrown right into the unknown. Your face you don't even know. 3 days have gone by. 3 days no alibi. Talk through another phone call. Look right and stare at the wall. How long can this really last?
Liquid glass, it's made of fear. It fades your feet just to disappear. Liquid glass thinks it's a good idea. Think you see it all, but none of it's clear. Ooh. Saw a stranger in the mirror last night. frozen, but I still want to find some ice cold clarity, and I don't believe when you imply the ground beneath my feet, and I feel it always coming in the winter time, and I want you to tell me I'll be fine. Day by day I sit outside, feel the wind as it's running by, hope it finds me another time, so hold my fingers when I know they're mine, know they're mine. Liquid glass, it's made of fear, it fades in features so you disappear. Liquid glass thinks it's a good idea, I think you see it all, but none of it's clear. The violet fears you feeling near to what endears
Welcome, Grammy U members, to Standing in the Spotlight with Billy Porter, a performance workshop. Our moderator is an award-winning radio personality and program director at SiriusXM. There, she curates all the music for the on-Broadway and Metropolitan Opera radio stations. She hosted her talk show, Broadway Names with Julia James, for over a decade. Please welcome to the stage, Julie James.
Welcome everyone. It's so great to be here today and to see all of you. I'm really excited about what is about to go down, but I want to thank Amazon Music for their support for the conference, and I want to introduce you to one of the most dynamic performers that I have ever had the pleasure of knowing. It is Grammy, Tony, and Emmy winner, Billy Porter. Yes. Billy has released solo music, but is also, of course, a veteran of the theater. He's a two-time Tony winner, first for Best Leading Actor in a Musical for Kinky Boots in 2013. And you may not know this, he also won Best Musical Tony Award as a producer for the incredible show A Strange Loop back in 2022. Yes. And of course, we're super proud of Billy because he is also a Grammy Award winner for the Kinky Boots original cast album in 2014. And this was an incredible moment when he took home the Emmy Award for Outstanding Lead Actor in a Drama Series in 2019 for his work as Pray Tell on the TV series Pose. And that was so wonderful because he made history as the first openly gay man to win that particular award. And if you haven't checked it out, I encourage you all to listen to his epic magnum opus record that's out now, The Black Mona Lisa. So without further ado, please give a warm welcome to multi-award winner and the absolutely fabulous Billy Porter. Indeed.
Hi, everybody.
Welcome, welcome. Yes, get comfortable in these fabulous...
These dry bones, girl.
Well, it's wonderful to be back with you today, and I can feel all the enthusiasm in the crowd for you, which is exciting. Now, you know, you have been in this business for a long time.
Longer than most of you have been alive.
Truth.
Just saying.
Over 30 years. And I have had the honor and pleasure of knowing you for a pretty good chunk of that, and it has been so rewarding to see what has unfolded for you. And you, of course, as we were just talking about, Broadway, TV, your original music. Now, how do you feel like you transform a song across all of these mediums? Like, what's similar and different about creating in all of these mediums?
What's interesting to me and what I'm grateful for the most is all of the multi-hyphenates that I have been blessed to have the talent to pursue. Also the presence of mind to understand that one serves the other. You know, I went to Carnegie Mellon for drama. I was in the acting program. So the gift is that every time I open up my mouth to sing, I'm telling a story. And I'm trying to connect with the audience that's sitting in front of me, or the audience that's watching me from their homes. You know, the biggest difference that I can say with being a theater performer, as well as a straight down the middle music industry performer, is that as a teacher, I find that my music industry babies sing a lot with their eyes closed. Everything with their eyes closed. Sorry, not for me. That's not for me at all. When I was in drama school, I had an amazing teacher, Billy Wilson. He's passed on, God rest his soul. He started in the ballet world as a ballet dancer, became a choreographer, then crossed over and became a director choreographer in Broadway shows, for Broadway shows. You know, and I got up to sing the first time, and I wasn't even singing with my eyes closed, but I got up to sing the first time. And he said, "So what?" Nobody ever said, "So what?" when I sang. I was like, "What are you talking about?" And he's like, "Well, number one, you don't know what you're singing about, so I don't care. Number two, you sang most of that with your eyes closed, so it's masturbatory." What that reads as, when you sing with your eyes closed, is that you just enjoy the sound of your own voice so much that you just have to keep your eyes closed and listen to it. I mean, I know that's not the case, but like it's a little technical thing, that is a problem. It's a problem for me. Now, speaking to other people who are music industry people, they don't care. So, okay. You know, it can be yes and, right. You know.
Yeah, no, that's
But you can't be in a Broadway show and sing a whole song with your eyes closed. You can't. And this is Broadway and crossover today that we're talking about.
Exactly, exactly. And given that, since you have write and perform your own music, but of course have made an entire career of singing the music of others, what would you say to our audience here today about really making something your own? Like if you are doing someone else's material, what are the modifications that you might want to make in an audition?
You guys are in a very interesting position in terms of what you can and cannot do, technically. You know, when I came out into this business, it was the 80s. You couldn't even change a key.
Exactly.
You couldn't even change a key.
You didn't go in and make it your own.
So strange.
You didn't go in and make it your own.
You didn't go in and make it your own, but I had no other choice, right? Because my voice was so high when I was younger that like even the tenor stuff, even the traditional first tenor stuff was too low for me. So I would either have to take the first tenor material that was appropriate and raise the key, which was like, I mean, it's like somebody took their firstborn children or something. Like it was the weirdest thing. You know, and I would have to change all the keys or I would just have to sing female songs that weren't about singing about a man. Right. You know, there are a lot of those. Nowadays, though, you know, everything is about bringing a piece of yourself into the room. So that's the good news in this conversation, is that you better bring yourself into the room. You better bring your blue hair into the room just like that. You know what I mean? Like, it's like we're in a different place. Yeah. You know, the world has expanded. The industry has expanded, quiet as it may be kept, you know, because unfortunately we don't speak about the positive enough. We, meaning the grown-ups in the room and the press and all of that, we don't speak about the good stuff enough. The good stuff, look at me. Sitting here before you, look at me. 25 years in this business, I had nothing. I couldn't get arrested for 15 years of my life in this business after I had already come and been in it for 10 years. So, yeah.
Let's talk about collaboration.
Yes.
It's one of the best parts of the business, I'm sure you believe, especially as a theater person at heart. But it can also be one of the more challenging. Mm-hmm. What would you say to our peeps today about approaching how to keep your own individual creative vision going, but also still working towards that big picture with others?
I had the gift and blessing of doing a residency at the Public Theater under George C. Wolfe for about 3 years. And one of the things that continues to resonate with me, just in terms of him, best idea in the room wins.
Yes, yes.
This is a creative space. We're building from an idea. You know, we call it from idea page to the stage. I can't have all of the answers. I'm only one person. You know, I have a vision, and very often I will express my vision to my team, and then the way they interpret it, is far greater than anything that I could have done myself. I learned that from George. I also learned in terms of how to lead, you know, actually being vulnerable, actually saying, I don't know, is the best way to honor the artisans that are in the room with you. It's the best way to do that.
Yeah, good. Because that can be an...
Now, I will say this. Beware of the kind of criticism that is simply meant to assassinate you. Block that shit out. Make sure you block that shit out. But you have to become discerning about what the difference is. You have to be open enough to understand the difference and go, yes, I got you. No, I don't like that. Yes, yes. You know, like you have the right, as you sift through, to choose what's right for you and what isn't. You know, what notes are good for your vision and what aren't.
Let's talk about health.
Yeah.
Spiritual health, mental health, vocal health, physical health. These are all things that go into the life of a performer. I always talk about our performers, particularly on Broadway, as athletes, Olympians, in fact, because it is Olympian. And I know you've been on a tour. I heard you talking about your tour bus life, which was kind of new for you, which I loved hearing about. But what are some of the ways that you prioritize maintaining all of those aspects of health, even down to like vocal exercises or dance or fitness or whatever the routines that you are that help you keep your endurance, especially when it comes to tour and Broadway, which are nightly?
The first thing is my mental health. The first thing you have to do is make sure that that is intact. 8 shows a week, like Julie just said. You know, we are athletes. God bless you. We are athletes. 8 hours rest a night when I'm doing 8 shows a week. I try to get 8 hours every night. When I'm doing 8 shows a week, I'm like a monk, you know.
And most Broadway stars are, if you ask them. It's like, it's not all what
Not a lot of, you know, can't drink too much.
Or at all.
Or at all. Mm-hmm. But, you know, my voice is different now, so I can drink a little bit. The expectation is different. I do eat my weed, though. It's legal. I'm not going to act like I don't do it. I do. Just eat your gummy before you go to bed.
But
Pilates. I do Pilates and yoga now. 'Cause you know, I'm 54. I don't need to be a muscle man no more. I can just be thin and healthy.
You look good. You look good. Come on.
Thank you.
Come on. No conversation with Billy Porter would be complete without him sharing a little with us about some of his inspirations, mentors. He already mentioned George C. Wolfe earlier, which I know is one. What are some of those mentors for you, and what are some of the biggest takeaways, the lessons that they've taught you, that guide you?
You know, I've had so many angels in my life, you know, who sort of kind of dropped in to the space at various different times in my life, right when I needed them, to take me to the next level of something, to show me a path or a direction that I didn't know anything about, but would help me in my dreams and desires. I've had people who I've looked up to, the Oprah Winfreys of the world, the Whitney Houstons of the world, the Quincy Joneses, the Steven Spielbergs, the Baz Luhrmanns, the Spike Lees, you know. But the one consistent energy and force of inspiration for me was my mom. And thank you. And she just passed away this year on leap year. And I think about, you know, just in this sort of grief space, how her energy and her presence and watching her and experiencing her move through life in the way that she did. You know, she was disabled her entire life due to medical malpractice. She defied all odds. She wasn't supposed to live past 30. She lived to 79. She wasn't supposed to be able to even take care of herself. She took care of herself until she was, you know, till 8 years ago. Like, I just, you know, she got up. She showed up and she showed out for her life, no matter what her physical body was doing. However it was betraying her, it never mattered. And so she is such the inspiration for that, for me. I don't know anything else or any other way, because she was in front of my face my whole life. You know, if she could get up and show up in the way that she did, there's no excuse for me.
Beautiful. Thank you, Mom. Thank you, Mom. I was just thinking that our audience today might benefit. We began our conversation by talking about the multi-hyphenate age that we have come into, which is so wonderful. Wasn't as embraced when, you know, people like you and me were starting out. When you produced, you produced and created the record, The Soul of Richard Rodgers. So that kind of got left out in our, we could have spent all day on all the things that Billy has done, right? But sitting here talking with you, I thought about that. We've talked a lot about the performer Billy. There's also director Billy, there's actor Billy, and there's producer Billy. So since we're here at a Grammy U event, I thought I'd ask you just a little bit that you might want to share about that aspect of doing things.
Yeah, well, my first R&B, mainstream music R&B album came out in 1996. It's called Billy Porter Untitled. You can get it now.
Look it up.
You can get it on anywhere now, actually. You couldn't get it for 20 years or more.
That's right.
Then I became famous, and magically,
Resurface.
you could find it. In between that time, you know, the R&B space, particularly back in the 90s, was very homophobic, so they kicked my little black sissy ass out. Sorry, and I did it anyway, right?
You did.
I did it anyway.
You did.
So now I'm back. And I have a new album out called Black Mona Lisa. Go get it on your Spotify. You know, it's in between. I did 3 albums on my own. So I had the mainstream space with the mainstream budget-ish. And then I did 3 independent albums. I did At the Corner of Broadway and Soul.
One of my all-time favorites, P.S.
Thank you. A live album from Joe's Pub. Then I did Billy's Back on Broadway that I did around the time that I did Kinky Boots, and that's my sort of like orchestral Broadway album.
Fantasia.
Yes, inspired by those old Barbra Streisand Broadway albums. You know, very much me. I still managed to do me. I had to be me before social media and all of this that y'all have today. I had to be me because I didn't have anything else. So like I said earlier, I had to raise all the keys and just come and just do me. And then my 4th album is called Billy Porter Presents The Soul of Richard Rodgers. And what I wanted to do was, I call it my Quincy Jones moment. Because what I did actually, was really try to subtly have the conversation in the music space that nobody's really talking about, which is Broadway performers crossing over into mainstream music. You know, I find it really gross that the same stuff that I heard over 30 years ago is the same shit I'm hearing now again. And it's not based on anything other than, I don't know, I still don't understand what the difference is. You know, it's like we as theater people welcome the Alicia Keyses of the world with open arms. We do. We do. We welcome the John Legends. We welcome the Jennifer Hudsons. We welcome
Cyndi Lauper.
The Cyndi Laupers. We welcome people from the music industry into our space all the time. And when it comes time for us to cross over, the doors are locked tight. Really tight. Yeah. So I'm kind of over that. I'm sort of trying to, you know, when you go and you see, hold on, my watch is ringing. When you go and you listen to the album, you know, it's me as a producer. I sing on it as well, but it's me as a music producer. And sort of, you know, Leslie Odom Jr. is on it, and Patina Miller guests on it, and Cynthia Erivo, and Deborah Cox, and India Ari, and Lettucey, and
Renee Elise Goldsberry.
Renee Elise Goldsberry, and, you know, and it's like the mixture of that. Go listen to it. I'm very proud of it, but I also knew, like, low key, that the arrangements of the Richard Rodgers music was more in the spirit of where I was headed, which is what you now see in Black Mona Lisa. It's a full-on pop album. It's pop, R&B, pop. It's soul pop, it's pop, it's pop. Dance, pop, house pop, like it's a real pop record. And I wanted my audiences to know that I haven't forgotten about them. Because it is, you know, it's like my Broadway audience is all of you in this room all the way up to like 90. You know, and I have to take care of all of my audiences. I went on tour with this album last year. And it was magical to see the audiences. Yeah. Because they were from like 9 to 90. All races and genders and everything. It was everything. It was everything. And that was really inspiring.
Yeah. Well, we have a really exciting opportunity for a little workshopping, but really just briefly before we get to our next segment, we have so many people in this room and who may be watching that are interested in both music and acting and singing, you know, all this multi-hyphenate that we're talking about. Is there a nugget of wisdom from the heart and mind of Billy Porter that you would share with them?
Yeah, believe in yourself. Believe in what you have to offer. And honor that. Because in the honoring of that, in the honoring of your truth, of your authenticity across the board, you teach people on the outside how to treat you and how to receive you. You know, it wasn't until I loved myself enough to take myself out of that masculinity game, that masculinity contest that's so at the forefront of everybody's mind. I took myself out of that, and then stuff started to work in ways that they hadn't before. Do that. It takes longer. It doesn't always feel like it's working.
That part.
Put one foot in front of the other. And do that.
Yeah.
Do that as best you can, you know.
Yeah, because sometimes you don't know what it's all adding up to as you go. It's only after you get, you know, somewhere like where Billy's been and you start to see it. You start to see your steps accumulating. Yeah. Yes. Yeah. We could talk to him all day, couldn't we? But we do have an amazing workshop for you. It's featuring the National Membership Grammy U representative. This talented person began his career at 14 on the Broadway national tour of The Sound of Music. Oh. Yes. They are currently a student at USC and has starred in musicals such as A Chorus Line, Carrie, and most recently Rent as Mark Cohen. So please welcome to the stage Roy Gantz. Hi, Roy.
Hello, hello.
Welcome, welcome.
How are you guys doing?
And joining on the piano is the incredible Ted Firth.
Woo!
Hold on a minute. I got to watch you from the front.
All right.
Now all eyes are on you. Come on, arrangement.
There's a saying old, says that love is blind. Still we're often told, seek and ye shall find. So I'm going to seek a certain lad I've had in mind. Looking everywhere, haven't found him yet. He's the big affair I cannot forget. Only man I ever think of with regret. I'd like to add his initial to my monogram. Tell me, where is the shepherd for this lost lamb? There's a somebody I'm longing to see. I hope that he turns out to be someone to watch over me. I'm a little lamb who's lost in the wood. I know I could always be good to one who watch over me. Although he may not be the man some girls think of as handsome, to my heart he carries the key. Won't you tell him, please, to put on some speed, follow my lead. Oh, how I need someone to watch over me. Someone to watch over me. Thank you.
That was beautiful, Roy. Really beautiful. So, number one, song choice. Choice, song choice. Choice, great song for you. Great choice. You always have to choose the right material. There's a lot of material for you to choose from. This space required a different kind of research because of the rules. So you chose this, why?
I mean, first of all,
talking to your mic.
I'll be real, honestly, had to be public domain. And I was like, I'm doing a standard. This is one of my favorite standards of all time. I love, like, Amy Winehouse has a version, Barbra Streisand has a version. Yeah.
Many people have a version.
A lot of people.
A lot of people.
A lot of people. But yeah, I related to the idea of you know, wanting somebody who loves you to be there for you, and feeling kind of, you know, like people don't accept it.
Right. So in terms of the story for yourself, what is the trajectory that you're going through?
Yeah.
From verse to refrain all the way through.
Yeah. I think first verse is almost like a confession. It's like, here's my heart, here's what's going on, you know, asking the person to love me. Then I think it kind of progresses to an idea of like, this is what I'm going to do. And the love
So is it positive? What I'm trying to get to, is it a positive ending or a negative ending?
I think positive.
So I think one of the things that I want you to try this next time around is then playing the positive.
Okay.
Play the positive.
Cool.
The whole way through. One of the things that young actors, I find, well, and not just young actors, real whole ass professional actors and actresses on Broadway every day get up on stage and tell me no the whole time.
Yeah.
They get on stage and shake their head no the whole fucking song. And you just said you want this to be positive. I'm a real technical person because you can fix something with just stop shaking your head no.
Yeah.
Stop shaking your head no. Keep your eyes open when you sing. You actually have this was actually a good balance. It was actually a good balance, and it was a good balance in a space of the hybrid space of singing this in a musical as a character or singing this as Roy. You know, at you know, what is it, 54 below or something. You know, it's different. It is different. It is different. So what I want you to try this time, when I teach my master classes, I do something called Carnegie Hall 101.
All right.
Or Diva 101, whichever one you'd like to tell your friends is better. So essentially, here are the rules.
Yeah.
You're at Carnegie Hall. You already have your Tony Award and your Grammy Award and all of those things. And people have come to see you perform at Carnegie Hall. So you have to enter. No, keep your mic where it is. You're in a fabulous, whatever you want to be in, actually. Who am I to say? Who am I to say? We're going to say your name. And from the minute you hit the stage to when you get to that mic, it's about your presence. Connect with us. You're already doing it. And I just want to make sure you keep doing that. Keep connecting with us. Stop shaking your head no. You're very advanced. So like these are really technical things for me. And take a breath. At the end of it, when you go to your money note, and if you're going to modify that vowel, you got to take a breath. I don't mind you modifying the vowel. And you cleaned it up on the end too, if you noticed. You closed in so that we knew what that was. You're gonna love more. Yeah, you've modified it. It's good. Sometimes you have to modify it. Close it on the end like you did. And just make sure you're connecting to us. Don't get lost. Don't get lost. If you feel like you're getting lost, all of us are here. Look in our eyes. Let this beautiful lady bring you back to being present right here. Okay? Let's try it.
Ladies and gentlemen, Carnegie Hall is proud to present Roy Gantz.
A star, bitch.
There's a saying, oh.
Stop shaking your head, no. Go ahead.
There's a saying old, says that love is blind. Still we're often told, seek and ye shall find. So I'm going to seek a certain lad I've had in mind. Looking everywhere, haven't found him yet. He's the big affair I cannot forget. Only man I ever think of with regret. I'd like to add his initial to my monogram. Tell me, where is the shepherd for this lost lamb? There's a somebody I'm longing to see. I hope that he turns out to be someone to watch over me. I'm a little lamb who's lost in the wood. I know I could always be good to one who watch over me. Although he may not be the man some girls think of as handsome, to my heart he carries the key. Won't you tell him please to put on some speed, follow my lead. Oh, how I need someone to watch over me. Someone to watch over me.
Good. Just something to think about. Really beautiful, Roy. We sing with our whole bodies. We have to use our whole bodies, right? Sometimes we get constricted here. You know, take up space. Take up space. I assure you, when you get to that high note that you're concerned about, that you don't need to be concerned about, as opposed to open it up here. Open up. I'm not convinced that you know the melody though. Ba ba da ba ba ba. What's that melody?
There's a somebody who's.
What is it?
There's a somebody I'm longing.
Play the melody. Ba 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 ba.
And my voice teacher was on me about that.
Ba ba. But you gotta learn that melody.
Yeah. somebody. There's
It's
a some-
really, really, really minute. It's really a small thing. It's not the melody, though. Yeah. You got to hit that melody because it's so popular. Yeah. And I'm sitting there going, is he choosing to sing it wrong? Because there's a difference. You can make a choice, but I'm like, he don't know it. He don't know it. Because you sang it wrong every time. He don't know it.
You got me.
And there was also another, although he may not be the man some girls think of.
As handsome.
That's the melody.
Cool.
Just in this. Yeah. If you go back to that bridge, you can sing it differently.
Yeah.
But like the first time out, sing the melody, you can, but just,
yeah.
And listen, I sing it the way you want.
Yeah.
If anybody's gonna say sing it the way you want, it's me.
Yeah.
And simultaneously, it's a yes and.
Yeah.
Just as, particularly in the theater, just as in musical theater, we sing when we get to an emotional place where we can't speak anymore. It should be the same thing with ornamentation. It's like I can't emotionally sing the melody that's written on the page anymore, so I have to go off the melody. It has to be that important emotionally, otherwise it just sounds like you're showing off. And there's that, and there's time for that too, by the way. There is. So beautiful work, Roy. Beautiful. Thank you. Give him a hand.
Yes. Roy Gantz, everyone. Roy Gantz and Ted Firth. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Ted. That was beautiful. You sound gorgeous.
So we want to thank you, Roy and Ted. We want to thank Grammy U for having us. We most especially want to thank the Billy Porter. It's not just a handle.
Go get my album and tell your friends. Do we call it album anymore? What
yes,
do we call
you sure
it?
do.
What do we call it, children? Do we call it an album still? Okay. Black Mona Lisa, tell all your friends.
Yes. And, I'm struck here, being with you here today, hearing you speak of the many angels that inspired your path along your many years. And it gave my heart a flutter because I thought, wow, look at all the people that are going to get to follow in your footsteps, or that you will be an angel for them, because so much has changed since you came
He couldn't
up.
sing with those pronouns when I
That's
came out.
right.
He couldn't sing with those pronouns when I came out.
That's right.
Something that simple.
Something like that. So thank you for your inspiration, your guidance, and for being an angel amongst us. And I know that it's appreciated and felt.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you.
Grammy U, I hope you got something out of it today. Have a wonderful rest of your conference. It was great to be here. I'm Julie James. Enjoy the rest. Yay.
frozen, but I still want to find some ice cold clarity, and I don't believe when you imply the ground beneath my feet, and I feel it always coming in the winter time, and I want you to tell me I'll be fine. Day by day I sit outside, feel the wind as it's running by, hope it finds me another time to hold my fingers when I know they're mine, know they're mine. Liquid glass, it's made of fear, it fades in features so you disappear. Liquid glass thinks it's a good idea, I think you see it all, but none of it's clear. You'll find it fears, you feeling near to what endears.
You know, what type of person am I going to be? And that informs the type of music and art and stories that I tell, art that I do.
If music is your life, Grammy Go is the place for you. Here you can learn what you need to know now from the Grammy nominees and winners who are living it.
Our online platform is designed to ignite your creativity while deepening your understanding of both the art and the business behind the music.
In our course, Building Your Audience for Music Professionals, you'll learn step-by-step how to build the bridge from making great music to making a real connection with your audience to making your mark. Learn from top artists and creators, including singer, songwriter, and actress Janelle Monáe, acclaimed songwriter and producer with 41 top 10 hits, Jimmy Jam, and the 66th Grammy Awards Best New Artist, Victoria Monet.
It's important to stay open-minded in how your music can be marketed because it's not just the old school way anymore.
No matter where you are today, we have practical tools, strategies, and insights to help get you where you want to be.
Get the word waiting out of your vocabulary. Substitute the word preparing. I'm preparing for my break.
If you want to build your future in music, you've come to the right place.
It's Janelle Monáe.
I'm Joey Harris.
Hey, I'm Jimmy Jam.
I'm Victoria Monáe, and this is Grammy Go.
Enroll now at Coursera.org.
Pretend it's not the end, I guess, until we meet again. Gonna move your body down on the floor, yes. Gonna show now you're not scared anymore. Saying party down on the dance floor. Ain't gonna party till I can't no more. Saying who's gonna stop me? Never thought I'd be here, but I am. I'm gonna do what I want to do. I'm gonna live my life. I wanna move how I wanna move, 'cause it's my life. Gonna party all night, and party all day, till the sunrise. That's when I say I live my life the best I could. I never did it twice. Only one night, one life away. What you gonna do when I come for you? One night, one life, one night. What you gonna do when I come for you? One night, baby, dance. I'll come for you. So move your body, move your body.
No, I don't got no shame. Doing it my own way. Don't really care if you stay. My purpose gon' lead the way. Been some trials that I had to face. I'm gonna go at my own pace. Too much loyalty is apparently a thing. Don't matter if you talked, in the end it's gonna sting. Giving from my core and I'm pulling in your energy. Passing by the flowers that you won't ever send to me. Sick of going back and forth and not gon' be no more. Just like Lotto, it's time to go put it on the floor. No more tears to cry, but they be knocking at my door. No, I don't got no shame. Doing it my own way. Don't really care if you stay. My purpose gon' lead the way. Been some trials that I had to face. I'm gonna go at my own pace. Tears from 2022 recycle themselves back through. My body goes back in time. Muscle memory rewind. It's in me, not on me. Never putting on an act, you can trust me. Am I gonna get it back? Say you love me. Can't wait on nobody. Doing it my own way. Don't really care if you stay. My purpose gon' lead the way.
find that I'm stoned. And we can go separate ways or just find us some paper. And after we can ride away, soon come to find that this carpet is magic. Oh, take a ride with me. Build us a plane and just roll through the skyline. Sending you my love through paper plane. I wanna know that you're riding that train tonight. Fly away with me on carpet rides. Whether or not we will land on our feet tonight.
So good afternoon. My name is Mike Diaz, and I'm here with.
Quasiana Watson. Good afternoon.
And where are you coming from?
I'm coming from Brooklyn, Bushwick.
Okay, and you're in the New York chapter, I believe.
Yes, I am, and I'm also a professional member at the Recording Academy.
Okay, so what is it that you do exactly?
I do music marketing, so digital marketing.
Okay, so the event today, how are you enjoying it so far?
Oh, I really love it. I was a little late, but I definitely enjoyed both panels with Ben Platt, Billy Porter. Definitely loved the whole resume review aspects, headshots. I really needed that. I think it's just very insightful. I get to collaborate, I get to network, meet a lot of new people, meet friends that I met through Grammy U. So I think it's just, it was really needed for New York, I think.
Okay, so about the Grammy U, what made you want to join the Grammy U to begin with?
Okay, so I joined during COVID, and I'm originally from Jamaica. So back home, we don't really have Grammy U. We don't really have all the resources that you guys have. So definitely when I started school here, particularly for media management, I saw that Grammy U was essential for me if I wanted to catapult to the next phase of my career, and to meet people and to get mentored by the music industry. So I felt like I needed to join just so that I could be a part of it, just so that I could set myself apart and just to learn and just to grow.
Okay, so for anybody out there that don't know about the Grammy U, what were some other benefits that you saw that you gained from the Grammy U outside of the things you already mentioned?
So I definitely say that I gained a sense of confidence. I'd say that I gained skills from the different sound checks that I was a part of. I'd say I gained resume building, how to write my resume from these different workshops. And I think I just gained how to conduct myself in a better light, in a better way. And I just learned more about the industry that I didn't know at all. I learned different careers. I learned about the different people that are involved, how to make records from all the different backstage album releases that we were invited to. So I just think it's just resources. I think I'm just so grateful for the resources that the Academy and Grammy U just decided to give us.
Yes, okay. And then I guess my last question is, with the event, did you go to the one last night? Okay, so how did you enjoy that, seeing the student performers and then also seeing Infinity Song?
Nice. So that's a good question. I loved the event. I loved how intimate it was. It felt like I was in the back room of like a club kind of vibe, and they were just singing to us. I really enjoyed it. I think it was a real eye-opener. Previously, I wasn't aware of any of the artists, the winners, or even Infinity Song. So I would say my takeaway is I learned new music. I'm now a fan of everybody that performed last night, and I think the showcase was needed.
Well, that's all we have. Thank you for joining us, and we will see you soon.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, yeah. Whoa. Caffeine. All you wanna do is get active. Traffic. Hard for you to see what I'm after. Stand by when the run is over. Watch out when it's hard to love you. Can't cry when I'm undercover. Yeah. It's been a long, long ride to love again. I'ma keep my arms inside and count to 10. I don't like to pray outside, but I need a win. Hoping that it's you I'll find, but that depends. So baby, you decide. Cause I don't wanna walk on the edge, so tell me where your heart resides. Cause I don't wanna talk till we both know. If you're falling away, I will save you. So don't call from a place where I hate you.
Oh, that's real good.
Caffeine, all you wanna do is get active. Traffic, hard for you to see what I'm after. Stand by when the run is over. Watch out when it's hard to love you. Can't cry when I'm undercover.
You keep me running and running like what's the point of it? Still chasing woes, but I swear there ain't no joy in it. I gave you the world and somehow you keep on toying with the love that I be giving. I'm feeling like you enjoying this. You keep me running like Forrest Gump when I'm off the hand. Dog, yeah, I've been raw. Used to be a player, but with you I've been soft. Yeah, I had the world, but right now I'm pissed off.
If you're falling away, I will save you. So don't call from a place where I hate you. Caffeine, all you wanna do is get active. Traffic, hard for you to see what I'm after. Stand by when the run is over. Watch out when it's hard to love you. Can't cry when I'm undercover. Silent mind now filled with
Welcome Grammy U members to On the Screen, performing on live TV. Our moderator today is an Emmy-nominated talk show producer and currently co-executive producer on Sherry. She heads up a talent booking department covering all facets of entertainment and has booked hundreds of artists, interviews, and music performances. Please join me in welcoming to the stage Siobhan Schanda.
Hello, everybody. Hi. Welcome, everybody. Thank you all for being here. We have a great panel for you today. I'm going to go to the end here. We're kind of winging it. I want to thank the Recording Academy, Grammy U, of course, Jesse Allen, who's done an amazing job setting up this conference, Amazon Music, and now we're going to get into the panel. So I'm going to introduce our panelists, starting with Yeji Cha Beach. Our first panelist is a music associate producer for NBC's Late Night with Seth Meyers and the artistic director of Did You Hear? In her 10-plus years at Late Night, she's worked with an incredible range of artists, including Aretha Franklin, Lorde, James Blake, and Brandi Carlile, and that's just to name a few. Her latest endeavor, Did You Hear?, is a live music series featuring established and emerging artists. Please welcome Yeji Cha Beach. All right, now, this next panelist, she's a New York City-based songwriter and musician and has been releasing original music for over a decade. In 2023, Rolling Stone named her one of the 250 greatest guitarists of all time. That's amazing. From 2014 to 2022, she was a member of the 8G band on NBC's Late Night with Seth Meyers. Please welcome Marnie Stern. All right, and then finally, we have someone who has racked up over 2 billion global streams, had top billing at festivals like Coachella and Lollapalooza, as well as opening slots on Lorde and Paramore's tours.
Great too.
She's worked with the likes of Nile Rodgers, Beck, Dominic Fike, and many more. She's kicked off her new album, Big Ideas, with the lead single, Cinderella. You probably heard it. She'll open for Olivia Rodrigo on the European leg of the tour, the Guts World Tour. Please put your hands together for the uber-talented Remi Wolf. So, this is so exciting because each of you have such unique experiences, but yet we all kind of align in terms of live music for television. Why don't each of you just introduce yourself quickly? Just a quick little intro.
Should I go?
You go,
Okay,
Yeji.
great. Hi, everyone. It's an honor to be here. I'm Yeji Cha Beach. I am the music associate producer at Late Night with Seth Meyers. I've been on the show we've been on air for over 10 years, so it's kind of crazy to think that, just a blink of an eye. I've been a musician my whole life. My background is in violin performance, so it's been really unique as like a performer to also have that like hat of the other side of the stage during my work. And so, yeah, it's an honor to be here. Thank you.
Marnie.
Hi, I'm Marnie Stern. I'm a musician, a guitar player. I sing, I put records out. I was in the house band at Late Night with Seth Meyers for 8 years. So I'm friends with Yeji, and now I put out a new record. I've been touring it. That's me.
Oh, yeah.
I'm Remi Wolf. Hello. I'm a musician, songwriter, artist, fashionista. And I am here today to talk about live TV performances, which I've done 4 of. So hopefully I'll have enough shit to say to you.
Yeah, this is great. So you all have, such different experiences and vast experiences. Can you, so in terms of your general role, Yeji, we'll start with you. So how does the process start in terms of, the booking process? Like, you know, there's a give and take in terms of people, you reaching out to people and people reaching out to you. Can you tell us a little bit about the process?
Yeah. So kind of at late night, my role is divided into two sort of pillars. Like one, I work really closely with one of our supervising producers who books the musical acts. And when they're booked, and it's, you know, like I also go see artists and pitch, etc. And once they're booked, it's the whole like advanced work that goes into, like, let's say, for example, if Remi is performing on the show, I would work with Remi's publicist and, you know, tour manager, production manager, lighting designer, creative director, or also maybe Remi herself, and kind of help shape what they want for the performance on our show. And keep in mind, it's like 4 minutes, right? And it's not like your Coachella tour, it's not your MSG show. So kind of like under the realistic realm of like, oh, this is at Late Night with Seth Meyers, like what are we gonna do? So working with guest bands, and then I also work closely with one of our producers managing the house band. And our house band, the HG house band, is unique in that we have a rotating cast of drummers every week. So you guys know Fred Armisen, musician, comedian. He is our band leader and drummer, but he's you know, out of town a lot, busy with other projects. So we have different drummers come on the show to perform for a week at a time. So it's been really fun being part of that creative process of like, and I'm also looking for diverse drummers, you know, not just another white male drummer, but, you know, female drummers, LGBTQ, you know, drummers. And it's been really rewarding to be part of that process to highlight different, you know, musicians.
And speaking of, you know, the HG band, Marnie, I mean, that's such a coveted position to be on a house band on a national late night talk show. How did that come about?
Fred Armisen asked me to sub for him to play guitar a few times, and he had a bunch of different people subbing in for him. And then after about, I don't know, I had done it maybe 5 or 6 times, and he said, hey, you know, do you want to come on full time?
Yeah.
So yeah, it was very different than touring and doing music. You go in, it's basically a 9 to 5 job. You go in the morning at 10:30 or 11. When we started, we were so nervous, all of us, including Fred, that we would go into a studio at like 8 in the morning. And
it's very hard for a musician.
Yeah.
8 o'clock call time.
But, you know, we had to write 8 songs a day every day, which is a bunch, and get used to that. And then you go in for rehearsal, and then you do your hair and makeup, and then you do the show, and it's the same. It's not late at night. It's at 5 o'clock, and then 4 o'clock, and then you go home, and then you come in, you do it the next day, and it's very becomes very comfortable, and the challenge is to stay comfortable, but also your job is to entertain the audience at home and the audience.
And what about creativity? Do you feel it's an outlet to be creative as well?
Well,
in that setting?
Sure, because you're writing songs. I think if we were just doing covers, it might be a little bit different, but because we're writing our own stuff every day, you're bringing your own personality.
Which is unique, too, for night bands. So.
Yeah.
And for you, Remi, like, now that you've got this new album coming out, you're going to be doing the shows. Do you, with your team, like, how does that conversation start? Do you guys sit down? Does your team come to you and say, look, we're thinking about certain shows. What do you think?
Yeah. I mean, late night TV is it's something that you expect to do, I guess, during an album release if things are going well. I'm very lucky to be doing all these late night performances, but yeah, it's kind of
You could do a daytime show too, Sherry.
Yeah, sure, daytime, give it to me. Give it to me in the light of day, baby. I mean, they're all filmed during the day. Sorry, what was the question?
How did the process, like you deciding like what your dream booking would be, and
yeah, I mean I think they're kind of all a dream booking. It's like such a great opportunity, but I do have a a publicist PR lady who, her name's Dana. She's not here, but she does, you know, go out and make her connections, and I'm sure she pitches me for different shows. And they come back with offers at times.
Yeah.
So yeah, this past one, I just did Colbert a couple weeks ago.
How was the process of coming up with the creative? Because you're such a creative person and artist, and your videos are amazing and unique. In terms of translating that to a late night show or a talk show.
Yeah, okay, so this is like a whole thing. Because when you do late night, the stages are really small. They make them look bigger on TV than they actually are, but they're probably from here to the end of that table over there. It's really tiny.
The number of artists who come and they're like, what? This is it? Wow. Like,
yeah. Whatever magic you guys are doing on that camera is pretty nuts. Because when I first walked into like Fallon per se, I was like, holy shit, this is like puny.
The SNL music stage is even smaller.
Wow, because that one looks big. I've never done SNL. That's a dream one. If you want to
You'll
dream
find
one,
out.
that'd be great.
I
yeah.
have a feeling you're gonna find out.
Yeah. But so yeah, you have to keep the stage in mind, how small it is, how many people you can fit on stage, how many props you can fit on stage. I kind of, when it comes to performing live in general for me, I kind of always like to lead with the sound of the music first. So if any of you have seen my performances, i.e. Fallon, Colbert, Coachella, I don't know what other ones I did. I guess I did Fallon twice because I did one during the pandemic. That one doesn't really count. But I love having a big live band because when you go into these shows, they all go into work every day, and they're kind of it's clockwork, and you're the new element that's added in. So anything that I can have under my control going into a show like that, so like my band, as many live players as I can get is what I want to lead with, because I know exactly how it's going to sound, rather than bringing in like a computer that has tracks or something. Also, I just think that live music carries better on TV and just carries better in general to our ears and our spirits. So
in working with the producer and the director of these shows, the concept comes to like your team working with the talk show, like with Yeji. You know, they're helping you achieve your vision.
Oh yeah, no, absolutely. And I've been lucky that like I'll go into the, like with Colbert, for example, it's top of mind because I just did it, but they were all so stoked that it was like a live band. Because also, they have a house band, y'all have a house band. I was able to hire some of Colbert's house band to play with me, which was like an amazing honor because they're all fantastic musicians. And they were all super stoked on that, and it felt very communal in that way. And I kind of I just like leading with musicianship in these situations because I know you're talking about like my visuals and everything.
But that makes so much sense because you feel that through the screen when you're coming from there.
Yeah,
so.
I want it to feel fun, and I have the most fun when I'm playing with my friends.
Yeah.
And yeah, there's so many musicians on stage that kind of becomes the visual.
Yeah.
So like with Colbert, we really wanted to lean into kind of like this vintage 70s vibe. Like if you go back on YouTube and watch like Sly and the Family Stone, their creative is a bunch of vintage lights and just beautiful vintage gear.
Yeah.
And like styling, like looking fly as fuck. So that's kind of what I wanted to execute on Colbert, just because we had 10 musicians on stage. There wasn't room for like a big swing hanging from the ceiling or something. You know what I'm
Amazing.
saying? Yeah.
Amazing. And Marnie, like being in the house band at the HG band, in terms of playing, like because you guys have had everybody on the show, big artists. So in terms of people utilizing you guys, did that happen a lot? Or
A couple big ones come to mind. Brad Paisley got up with us a bunch of times and played, and he's such a great guitar player that he just had no idea what we were playing. He just got on, had it, started playing.
That's amazing.
We did something with Miley Cyrus, what was planned, and we came out, and I think we played one of her songs, and she came out. It was some promo. She was doing Fallon right after. And then I remember...
Dolly.
And
that was all impromptu, I think.
In the last 10 minutes before the show. 10 minutes before the show, the producer came back and said, could you just play Jolene, and she could just sing a little bit of it. And we did. And now those types of things are your holy shit moments where...
Definitely.
I'm not supposed to be doing this, but here I am. And
that's amazing. Yeah. So, and how often would it happen that the house band would
Well, first of all, for us, so because we had that rotating drummer, the beginning of the show, the first couple years, were insane because we had, I mean, for me, I'm a rock musician, and we had a lot of rock drummers on that were, you know, Chad Smith from the Chili Peppers and Matt Cameron from Soundgarden. I mean, hundreds of them. The Pixies drummer, the Jane's Addiction drummer, Guns N' Roses drummer, and we'd play a song of theirs on the show every night and sing. Like we had the B-52s come on, Kate Pearson came on, I sang with her song, which I also should not have been singing, but I got to do it, so I was having fun. Abe Laboriel Jr., who is Paul McCartney's band, we sang Jet with him singing and playing, like pretty crazy. Dreamy stuff, and we'd have one day to learn it, you know, which kind of made it easier in a weird way because you can't get all worked up about it. You just come in, learn it, play it. Oh shit, I did that, and then the next week we're on to the next drummer. So for us, every week we had to learn all these people's music, so it kind of kept your mind occupied. I would walk to work every day for my exercise and listen to the song that we had to do, and then we'd get in and do it.
That's the uniqueness of live television or live to tape and late night. Like, you don't have a lot of time to you know, figure it out and the arrangements and, you know.
In a way, that's good, because if you're too precious with stuff, you could overthink it, and I think you could also get into lots of arguments with arrangement and, you know, with band stuff, when it's quick, it's easier, or else you start saying, well, what if we put this here? Well, maybe we could arrange it here. Maybe I could sing this part and you could sing this part, and then you kind of get into the shit where this way it's just, all right, great, you got that? Oh, good, that sounds good. Okay, good.
And the little bit of magic happens. Oh, that's so cool.
I feel like Remi made a really good point too. It's like she comes in, everything's set up, but also it's like you have your 4 minutes on camera, but it's within this 60-minute block of like the rest of the show, right? It's not like late night with Remi Wolf, right? And so as an artist too, it's like, and being part of the music team, it's like, right, like it's not just a music show, which I wish it were, but you know, we've got the political segment, we've got the guests, and then we fit in the music.
The biggest thing I learned from the show versus your own personal career is that you're selling a commercial product, you know, and your job is to entertain. And with your own work, your job is to present your feelings, your music, your emotions, your heart. It's a different ball game than coming out and, you know, my job was to make Seth Meyers look the best that he possibly could. It was not about me at all. And that I think everyone is there working to further not just the artists, but the network. And
absolutely. Yeji, in terms of booking bands and artists, how far out do you guys book? And it, you know, and I know because I book TV, like it can take years to book somebody. It can take a year. It might happen overnight. But for you guys, like, tell us a little bit about your process.
Well, I know that sometimes our supervising producer, he'll work for literally years. Like this will be like a seed that keeps growing and growing. And a lot of times it's not just about like, oh, who's in town and like, what's this project, what's this tour, but also just like the timing of it, right? And so sometimes there's a conversation that happens for years and then it finally works and it's beautiful. Sometimes it can be just like a quick within a month or 2 months. You know, we get pitched artists all the time. Our inboxes are flooded with pitches, and you know, part of what I love doing is like kind of combing through that, and I love also like looking for like emerging, you know, new artists.
Not everybody's ready right away.
Well, that's the thing, and like what an aspect of my job that I love is I love if there's somebody that seems interesting, but they're kind of under the radar. I want to go see them live because like seeing them live will kind of help me to kind of get like the vibe of, oh, will this translate over camera? Because like somebody might perform so well and like you watch their video or hear the music and you're like, this is such a vibe and it's great. But then you see them in person, you're like, oh, I don't know if this will translate on screen. And we are a TV show, you know, so like that's something to keep in mind too. And sometimes there's artists that I love and I'm like, oh, it's not gonna translate
well. That's what's so great about Remi, because it does, you have that. Like it's so special to you know, to tour and play live and then to have it translate to television and broadcast and streaming and everything. So, you know, this is what, again, is what we kind of strive for and what we do in terms of booking music, like, you know, the real artistry of it. In terms of people, like, you know how there's sometimes, like, you start hearing the buzz about somebody, like whether it was Justin Bieber or, you know, like even like with Beyonce on Beyonce's album, you know, the Country Carter and the girls that sang on Blackbird, like Tyler, Adele, and Brittany Spencer. Do you guys kind of is there ever like a timeliness where you're like, I got to get that person, like I have to, you know, I'd love, you know, Seth would love to have that person perform?
That's a great question. You know, speaking of Seth, like he kind of gives like the team our liberty to like do what we want to do with music on the show. But there are times when he will kind of ping our producer and be like, hey, can we get this band? Can we get that band? And sometimes like we'll never have heard of them. And we're just like, yep, whatever boss wants, you know?
And it's Taylor Adele, I just pronounced her name. But no, it's just fun too when there's like buzz about, like, and Remi, you can speak to this because you're one of these artists, that it's like, you know, there's something that happens in the booking world. Everybody's then vying to, you know, want to work with you. So
yeah, I mean, I guess I think what helps is having done other late night shows, I think helps me book more late night shows.
Absolutely.
And especially if I do a good job, then people see it and like it and hopefully want me for their show. But yeah, I have no control of it. I just try to show up and do my thing.
You just do the creative.
Yeah.
And be yourself. Marnie, what advice do you have, you know, for somebody who wants to work in live music, whether they're performing or they want to be in a house band or they, you know?
First of all, you have to get out there and play live on your own a lot to get comfortable. There is no way, I mean, it took me years to assimilate to a camera in my face every night and knowing that there were a million people watching.
It's very different.
It's very different and very difficult, and you're kind of posed, standing and playing, and the camera is up in your face, and I had to have, you know, a decade of experience of playing 500 shows on tour to be able to do it, I think. I mean, I think I would say the guys in the band would say the same thing because they had all played a lot of shows. But a piece of advice I would give that is the opposite of who I am, I was very lucky. I mean, on one hand, you could say, well, I worked very hard, and so I developed a unique style, and then Fred Armisen knew of my music, and then, so there I was on the show that way. On the other hand, I am not a social person at all, and that's very bad. You really, this whole thing is based on, you don't have to be fake, But this whole thing is based on talking to people, relationships.
Yeah.
And I hide in my house and always have and always will, and it's a real deterrent. So my advice would be to just get comfortable being social, going out places, not staying at home, be a doer. I am not a doer, be a doer.
But you did the work too.
Yes.
And that's what led you to, even though you're introverted in that way.
Yes.
And that spoke for itself.
Yes.
Which is amazing.
Yeah, so it can happen, but would you rather put in 8 hours a day of playing an instrument at home for a decade, or just talk to people and play with them?
True. Yeji, for you, like, what would you say in terms of everybody out there watching now and in the audience, in terms of getting into the business, and a little bit about your path again, but what would you advise in terms of making that first step?
I feel like really like trust your gut and try as many things as you possibly can. And one thing I really learned is like knowing when to say yes, but also knowing when to say no. Like you understand the situation, you can read the room, and you get the vibe of like, oh, this is not a right fit for me. But being curious and asking lots of questions. There are no stupid questions. Like that's one thing.
I think that's true, and I always tell people, it's important to try a lot of things, but also you do have to decide what lane you want to be into in our business, because it goes so fast and you have to be learning. So you really have to be passionate about, what it is, whether you want to be a producer or you want to, be a director or, music, or a player. Are you, a performer? I mean, Remi, what would you say as an artist to those, aspiring artists out there who want to give it a go?
Yeah. With music specifically, I would say I always put the music first, and that never changes. I think you can get far with okay music, but you can get much farther with incredible music, and that's kind of what I try to do. And I love music so much, and I love making songs, and I love writing songs, I love production, so I kind of always lead with that first. So if you're writing music right now, just really focus on it and try to develop your own style. And I like that you said always trust your gut, because I think for me, the most I've ever felt proud of my own work is when I followed my gut, and the most I've ever felt disappointed and just like insane in my life is when I've ignored my gut. And that's something that I've really been tuned into recently. So there's like no point in doing it, guys. Like you're right. Everything that you want to do or feel in your body, like that is correct, and doubting it is really easy, but following it will lead you down the right path, I think, always. So yeah, that's some advice,
So cool.
I guess. Yeah.
Yeji, is there an experience where something maybe, didn't go the way you thought it was going to go, that you thought maybe that was a blessing, or sometimes I say, like, when something doesn't happen, like that job you're aspiring to, whatever, it doesn't happen, it's leaving the door open for another situation. But what would you say to everybody watching in terms of taking that first step? Like, not every job is going to happen, like that you're aspiring to, and you're going to be and you're going to want it so badly. But if it doesn't happen, what do you say to?
I mean, that happens all the time in life, right?
Yeah.
You anticipate something, you want something so badly, and it doesn't, and that's life. But kind of like, for me, my personal, like, I kind of repeat this almost all the time, which is everything happens for a reason, and like you put in the work, you trust your gut, you trust your instincts, and as long as you show up and stay present and believe in yourself, like things will happen, and everything happens for a reason, whether good or unfortunately bad. And when things happen, and then just recognizing that this is a really unique opportunity and like grabbing it and just going really hard with it, I think is invaluable. Yeah.
Yeah. And Marnie, now, like for you, you know, for your next, you know, chapter, like, you know, how do you approach, you know, because you're established and you know, you have so many fans. And
Well, there's yin and yang, you know, the show. So I just finished a tour, and it was very satisfying. It was very satisfying because you appreciate it when when you haven't done something, you appreciate it. But I would say to try. Of course, all of this is correct, but I would try in your own work to put some vulnerability into it for you artists out there who are songwriters, because there's, for me, I'm not interested in listening to anything that, I like to see the person in the work, and I feel like that's getting lost a lot. The whole idea of writing something is to capture something unique. So I would say concentrate on that as much as possible in a deteriorating world of homogeneity.
yeah, and I think that also plays into what we do in terms of doing music on live television. We're looking for something different. We don't want to have the same type of artist over and over. We want to, you know, we want to break artists. We want unique voices, special, like Remi, who's so special. Like, but it's hard to do that you really do have to listen to your gut and your, you know, that inner voice that's telling you, you know, and keep, you know, the noise out. Yeah. So, you know.
Well, it brings you back to childhood, you know, that feeling, an embarrassing feeling. If you feel that, that's good. Keep going with it.
I think feeling scared is not a bad thing.
Right.
And even 10 plus years into doing this, I'm like today, I feel scared. I feel a little nervous, but like this is all good. It's
yeah,
growing.
We do this every day. Like we work in television, and we, you know, performing all of this. Is there anything about in terms of the media landscape changing and broadcast, how do you think live performance, where in terms of booking, I mean, there's so many avenues now to do it, and you have, you know, your show that you do, and it's called
Did You Hear? So I started this live music series in my town, and they're house concerts. And I wanted to start it because I missed going to like a really intimate live concert with like 60 to 70 other people, and the artist is just like right there. And you can I call it like a concert that's so intimate that the artist can hear the audience listening. And I miss that, right? And like, yes, shows are amazing when it's like for thousands of people, but like that intimate, especially in this day and age when everything is so like fast and on screen and, you know, accessible, just to like be in a room with 70 other people and like you can hear everyone breathing, and like that connection is so special. Yeah.
Remi, for you, like you're going to be in a big stadium tour over the summer. Like for you, what's your favorite place to play or venue or?
Yeah. I think that still my favorite type of venue to play is like a 350 cap, like little bar club. Because of those reasons, like there's so much more intimacy, and it's way more of a party for me, and you can just like you are literally looking people in the eyes and are touching their hands, and I love that. I mean, when I was in high school and in college, my main method of performing was at house parties in like the back barn or whatever the fuck the house had. The backyard, the barn, the living room. I lived in this house with 10 kids, and we threw parties every single week. We threw shows like twice a month, probably actually more than that, probably 3 or 4 times a month. And that was incredible. It's an incredible time. Like everybody's just wild and crazy and really, really learning so much from the music. And I think that's where I learned how to connect with people performing, which I think helps me now when I am doing bigger rooms.
Or television even.
Or television, like, I know how to make that connection because I played so many times actually making that connection. And not that I'm simulating the connection now, but it's much harder when you're in a room of 30,000 people. Like, you can't really do the thing, but I can work the energy in my own way because I've learned how to over the past 10 years of my life. So, but yeah, 350 cap, that's the shit.
Yeah.
That's the sweet spot for me, yeah.
So we have a couple of questions on live stream. The first one is from Alexandra C. For Remi, what are the differences between performing at your own live shows versus performing on live television, and how does each environment impact your performance?
Yeah, they're incredibly different. The first thing is that on live TV, you have a camera in your face, and you were just talking about how it took you years to get used to that camera being there. I mean, I've done TV 4 times. I am deeply terrified of the camera every time. I'm like, please don't look at me. I like
Well, it's unnatural.
It's so unnatural, and like, you have no idea what the lighting is. There's just, and then it's, and then it's being posted online for like the entire internet to consume. So that is always a big scary difference.
Do you read your comments?
Do I read my comments? Like the first day that something comes out, yes, and then I kind of leave it in the dust. People are nice to me online, thank God. I'm gonna say this, and then the internet's gonna take a turn, but sometimes, yeah.
Well, okay, so we have another question. Kayla E., thank you for your question. What is the biggest mistake you see people make when transitioning a live performance from stage to TV? What advice would you offer someone, Yeji?
That's a really good question.
It's a good question.
So, when you're transferring like something live to then TV.
Yes, like.
Oh man. Well, so I have one example. Back in 2014, when we started the show, we had the amazing MIA on the show, and like day of, like this was not part of the advance. There was no production meeting over this, but day of, like on site, during sound check, she was like, I want to have drones. I want to have this. I want to have, and we wanted to make this production happen. But like operating drones inside our studio, it's first of all this big, and the signals.
You want to make the artist happy, but there's only so much.
Yeah, but so like I imagine at Coachella, I'm sure that is amazing to like make it happen for that space. But in our studio, it's a little difficult, So I'll never forget that. It's like, I love the vision, and we want to respect that vision as much as we can. But then
Did you make it happen?
So during camera block, it worked. There were 2 drones. I think there were 2, yeah. Gosh, 10 years ago. But then during the show, it didn't work.
Like helicopter drones? Like little tiny... Bzz, bzz.
During the actual taping, because we tape as if, we're live. We don't stop and just
live to tape.
It's live to tape. So, but during taping, I think only one went up and the other.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
That's how
Let
it
me
goes,
ask you this: so you're going to book an artist, let's say. Who do you talk to on your team? Do you work with your executive producer, the producers in general? What is the process once it's booked? And then when do you is your director like intimately involved, and your lighting person?
I'm sure it's case by case with each show, but at least at our show, our supervising producer books the band, and then if they want to do something creative, we have like initial like creative meeting with, let's say, Remi's team. And so Remi's publicist or creative director or lighting designer might be involved, and they have like a deck of like, this is our vision for like our performance on late night. And then we absorb that deck and kind of right off the bat say like this is just not possible given the size, given the space. We don't have a screen, whatever. But then we take what we could do, and then we have a separate meeting with our internal, producers, our director, our LD, our props team, etc. So there's this it's a whole thing. Yeah.
I can tell you a couple of examples. I think from novice to experienced, a lot of times your in-ears will just go out in the middle of the show, or say your guitar will stop working or your microphone will not be working. And your inclination is to stop. Or when you're nervous, I've seen people throw fits, like kind of become a diva out of nerves and embarrassment and an uncomfortable thing. I think the key to that is you just keep on going as if everything's fine, and then you have the choice later if you want to go back and redo it. But that happened constantly happened, where you're playing, nothing's coming out, but you're just smiling. It's cool. So that's like a good example, I think, from live in your own world to television, where you got to roll with it. And,
absolutely.
And a lot of people aren't comfortable with that. And
it's a lot of pressure.
It's pressure,
You do feel that. And talking about the team and the director and all these people, there are so many jobs in terms of pulling off live performance for television, whether it's an award show or a late night show or daytime show. There's so, that's why it is important to talk to people. If you have, if you're visually inclined, maybe you do want to, reach out to directors, or get in producers who can kind of maybe help you network to some of the people you might have an interest in that particular lane. Again, it's not just one person. It starts with Yeji or me, booking, but then there's a whole team of people that pull off the performance. So it's important to kind of see where you might be most passionate about, your role, because there's so many. Every role is so integral in terms of pulling it off, especially in live television. Every single person is being counted on, and that's what's exciting about it, and kind of dangerous. But anyway, are there any questions from the audience?
Great question. I would say overall for Seth Meyers, our show, we do like to keep our show present. For example, we have our set, we have the brick walls. Oh gosh, there was one time we had an artist, and of course I'm blanking on their name, but they had this glass, spherical stage that they stood on top of, and I'm kicking myself for not remembering this name.
You'll remember afterwards.
I know.
We'll talk about it.
And it was just visually so cool, to see the artist on top of the stage and kind of have that 360 vibe and the reflections on it. And you can imagine, because the cameras are involved, during camera blocking, you have to be super conscious of oh, what is being seen, because this is a glass, structure. We don't want things that we don't want to be seen on camera captured. But so it was I imagine for our crew, it was difficult to work on those things, but they're also experts at knowing how to do this. So.
And also you're always you're not reinventing the wheel necessarily, but you do want to try to do different things. And that's why, even for Remi, when you're doing performances, it's what's your next performance going to be on live television? It's kind of and sometimes maybe that's as simple as paring it down. It doesn't have to be the biggest thing ever,
Yeah, definitely. For the one that I just did, we used all the lights that we had. It was very colorful, vintage lights, but those were all lights that the studio already had. And when you do this stuff, I don't have the biggest budget in the world, so I kind of have to make it work, and that's where it can become really collaborative with the show and with the studio. We were sending them decks of this vision that we had of this kind of vintage shit, and they're all right, well, we have this, and this. We're gonna have to rent this, and this. And it all kind of got worked out through the collaboration, and I know that
His budgets are tight across the board now. So
Oh yeah.
So
Oh my God.
That's where the creativity really comes in.
Yeah, and knowing and like leaning into that, like I knew I didn't have that much money. I was like, I'm not gonna create some big sculpture of a caterpillar or some shit in the back. Like, what do I have? What do I know works? And in my mind, I'm like, lights. Lights work and instruments work, and because I knew that they had that at the studio, I was like, I'm just gonna lean into this, and we created a whole creative concept from that. So yeah, there's a lot of ways that there's a lot of twists and turns, and and rolling with the punches is kind of always the best vibe.
At Seth Meyers, they'd have Broadway performances sometimes, and those really took you out of your element because the people at our show would do the sets for them, and then they would come out and perform, and you really felt like you were.
Absolutely, and the thing about artistry, it's at the end of the day, like it comes down to that. Like you can have a bunch of smoke and mirrors, but truly, and that should only enhance the talent that is there. And I would think, there's a comfort level. It's all about the music at the end of the day. So whether you're doing an acoustic set or like the full band, which is incredible. I mean, everybody loves performance on late night and on any talk show, really, even though, it's gotten harder to do. It's gotten harder to do. I mean, and during the pandemic, you saw the tape performances, which were very cool, but, there's nothing like that interaction with the artist and the audience and the host. And
I will say, speaking of the pandemic, and all the late night shows pivoted, and basically artists were sending us their like highly polished like music videos to then for us to air. And it was like, this is really cool, and we were proud that we were able to pivot and do that. But then we've so missed like having the artist in the studio, and like I'll never forget when Florence and the Machine was performing Hunger, and I love Florence. And usually I sit like in the audience when I watch soundcheck in camera, but I was like right next to like side stage where the HG band setup is, and I just started crying, and I was like, I miss this so much, just like being in that room with the artist. And
there's nothing like that energy, like having it live.
Yeah, and as a person who did one of those like very music video things during the pandemic, and that was my first time ever on live TV. That shit, well, first of all, it costed so much money because it was during the pandemic, everybody was masked up.
It's like making a music video.
I had to make a music video for something that's supposed to be like a live performance. I had dancers. It was so psychotic. I mean, it was cool to see on TV, but personally, performing live, even though it's way more terrifying, is so much more rewarding, I think, for everybody involved, because it's like, oh, we really like made that happen, and there's so much work that goes into it, and it's so exciting at the end of the day.
Are there any other questions? Okay, we got a lot. Why don't we start with you?
Hey, yes. Thank you. Thank you. Hell yeah. Great question. Did you guys hear the question? Yes? Okay. I work it out after the fact, essentially. I don't really like giving myself any restraints when I'm in the studio. And so, yeah, we go crazy in the studio. I mean, there's sounds that, if anybody's seen my live show here, there's sounds that definitely are not being replicated live. Like, it sounds different. And that's because, you're in it's a very different process. But I try to get everything as close as possible. And if there's, like, no way to do it, I like to be creative with it. And, like, I don't know if any of you guys have heard my Electric Lady like live lounge thing, but but so that was, it wasn't TV, but it was live, and it was a 4-piece band and me, and in order to execute that, we completely changed every single arrangement, which made it really fun and unique, but totally different sounds, you know. And we kind of have to do that for the we have to do that for live TV too, like Cinderella, which I just performed. It's a stripped back version of the song, still 9 people, but you can't do every sound live.
How much rehearsal would you put into
into
that for
Cinderella?
television?
We did 1 day of rehearsal. It was like a 7-hour rehearsal or something for one song.
Wow.
The day before we left. So
that's cool.
It's speedy.
Yes.
I'm a busy girl.
Yes.
There's a lot,
Wait, and you
there's
had
a lot to
question.
do. Oh, thank you.
I would say organization is key. But Yeji, I'll let you, I mean.
I would say also, like, because you have a limited amount of time when you're in our studio and for the performance, come in with, well, obviously communicate with the team in advance with like everything you want, like the deck and everything. But when you're on site, you have 30 minutes for camera, you have 30 minutes for sound check or whatever. So just having everything organized and being able to kind of go with the flow. Yeah.
Also, too, there's so much of it that, like, you know, you're paying SAG-AFTRA because it's a television show. So, you know, there's a person on the team that handles all of that. And then there's, you know, the glam people. And, of course, there's everybody on the crew that's working to order the backline and, you know, getting, you know, so.
I would say for yourself, like as the performer, to block everything else out and to just focus on exactly what you're doing. Because with anything, you're going to start getting distracted by everything else that's going on and start thinking about a lot of different things. Just focus on what you're doing.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was going to say. Like deep focus.
And we as the producers are the ones that keep everything kind of in check. So we're taking care of the artists and, you know, making sure that everything, you know, any issues that come up, you know, that's what we do.
At the end of the day, like, we want the artists to be comfortable and happy and, you know, creating that comfort zone for you guys to do the best version of what you're there to do is like our goal.
Yes.
Within our show.
Absolutely.
I will say, watching Yeji for 8 years, you are very good at making people feel comfortable and good on that show.
I think on the flip side of that too, for me, of course, like there's you guys trying to make us feel comfortable and me knowing that it is not my space. And having that in mind, because I need to be as focused and as flexible as possible, because I don't have control of the timing, I have no control of the schedule, and you have to be prepared to, you know, be on someone else's time.
Is it ever when you're like cutting like the track for television, like, because it's usually 3:30 or less, maybe it's a little bit longer, but is that challenging at all? Like,
yeah, depending on the song. For Cinderella, keep talking about it, but that song is 4 minutes and 20 seconds. I think and it has a long fade out, so with that it was pretty easy because I just chopped off the fade out and gave it a quick double hit at the end and called it a day. But yeah, I know people who have had to cut like 2 minutes out of their song, and thankfully I've never had to do that, but it's definitely a thing to keep in mind. Yeah.
I wish it were longer.
I know, me too. I always wish it's longer.
It's also unique. Oh,
no, you go ahead.
Because, you know, you spend all day like going through sound check and camera, and then like there's a break, and then you get ready, and you're nervous, and then it's like 3 minutes 30 seconds done. And
It's
I'm thinking
over.
backstage, like, can we just have a full show of your music?
Yeah, it's psychotic.
I know, and it's like, it's always a treat if you get a second, like if you finish and then the band plays like.
And also,
Always ask for the second one. Always.
As a band member, that's a huge difference doing live TV versus your own thing. Your own thing, you're up there to perform. You do one song, and that's your beginning. Then you go for an hour. When you are on TV, you come in, you play the intro song, you're all hyped up, and then that's it.
There's no warm-up.
Camera pans over to the host, and it's a very bizarre feeling to just then
talk about being vulnerable.
Stand for.
I just gave everything.
Right, and then you're wait for 15 minutes, and then it comes back.
And then it's over. But it lives on YouTube. So, any other questions?
Good. Thank you. For me personally, I'm doing whatever I want.
There are production managers and people and choreographers for some artists.
Yeah, I don't have a choreographer or anything like that. For live TV specifically, I mean, there's certain blocking things that they'll want you to hit. Like they'll have a vision for how the first 10 seconds of the shot are gonna go. And me knowing that, it's like, okay, I gotta hit my mark. And then besides that, I'm just doing whatever the fuck. I don't know. I don't plan anything in that way. Some artists definitely do, for sure. I actually did have my bass player and my guitar player.
You do have some great moves.
Thank you. Yeah, thanks. Just the wild goddess within is twirling around. Yeah, like I will give my band members some direction at times. Like I had my guitar player and my bass player like move their hips from left to right. And I think at one point we might have locked in on that. But yeah, essentially I'm doing whatever I want. And then with the TV, it's like hitting the marks that they kind of direct me to have, which is very few.
Again, wanting the artist to achieve your vision of what it is, and sometimes that's even like with the backline stuff, like getting that like exact the in-ears or whatever it is, very simple things, but to make you the most comfortable. And that's what everybody on the production team strives to do, I think, and especially on your show and many shows, because it's such a unique, special job to do. So you really want everybody to leave feeling so good about it. The artists, the teams, the staff, the crew. It's really special.
Yeah.
Rehearsal
Did I take
and
this one?
blocking.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, essentially, it's so artist dependent. Some people don't want click at all. We were playing, we played to click. I think I like to have like a little bit of click in my ears, but everybody is so different. Everybody has a different in-ear. Everybody that has a different in-ear mix. Sometimes you can bring your own guys. Sometimes they have a guy that does it for you, and there's not a lot of flexibility on that. It kind of depends on the show and the artist. I would say in-ears are it's one of the most difficult factors in live music performance in general.
Really good question, by the way.
Something that you also do or don't realize is that when you're doing a live show, there are people talking, other people while the show is happening that are talking in your ear for the entire show. Someone's saying, a producer's saying something, someone's saying something
As
to
a house
someone.
band member.
As a house band member, someone's saying something
Not
to
for me.
someone else for the whole thing, and it's happening while you're the camera and you're smiling and you're going out to commercial, and they're like, no, I don't think this should happen, and blah, 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 and you just can't.
Marnie's smiling.
And I'm smiling, you just don't acknowledge it, but you get used to that. But in your mind, you're thinking, this is kind of cuckoo that,
Yeah.
Well, also the
knows
in-ear
what's
is so deep in your ear canal that it's like, oh my God, like my brain is like
But
talking.
but like sometimes your hip, like if you're moving your back, like mine would be on my jean or my pant, and my back would move, and the volume would turn totally loud or totally off, and you're like, there's all little things like that happen.
And that's
but
live television, so you just roll with it.
Yeah.
And you got to figure it out. There's so much more we could talk about, but we have to wrap it up. So I just want to say thank you guys for your questions and everybody out there live watching the stream. Yeji, Marnie, Remi, just amazing. It's so cool to be able to sit here and talk with you. To the crowd, what'd you guys think? I think we all hope you go home with a better understanding of how this side of the business works. And there's so many more things that we can talk about. And, hopefully we'll get another opportunity to do that another time. And thank you to everybody for listening. Thank you for attending the 2024 Grammy U Conference presented by Amazon Music. And have a great rest of the day. And we'll see you next year.
Used to say I had no regrets, I can't say that anymore. When we were together, I destroyed the chance to ever be something more. Life is too short to go a day without you next to me. Today is a gift, tomorrow isn't guaranteed. Life is too short to go a day without you next to me. I need you right now, but what if it's not guaranteed? I need you to hold me, to kiss me slowly, but each minute that goes by is another day lonely.